back with another installment of the CWE video podcast, and this is the most excited I've ever been for one, because I know we're going to cause some heat today. People are going to probably want to fight me for even bringing you on the show to say things about them. They're going to want to fight you, but it's just another day in the life of the Canadian loose cannon, TJ Bratt. Welcome to the program.
Whoa, you're making me sound like I'm going to walk out here and have a fist fight.
Well, in the time I've known you, that's usually the way it is. When I'm sitting here, I have a list here of some of the subjects I'd like to talk about with TJ Bratt, and this is a small fraction of it. If I took all of them, I would have a binder full, because as I was trying to put together stories in my head, I was thinking there's at least one story of you having heat or wanting to fight at least everybody once in this business. Whether it be as a promoter, as a wrestler, if somebody pisses you off, if they didn't tie their shoe the right way, the cannon might go off on them. That's the reputation you got.
Yeah, that's the way I was, and especially near the end, I was working with you for a few years there. You saw it, like, where's this guy snapping from? And no, the wrestling business brings up.
You wanted to fight me at one point. I was in this very building on the phone with you. You were going to come down here and fight me.
That was about 1:30 in the morning.
That was 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, and my wife was actually saying, "Get your ass in bed, Jay. You got to get up and stand up. You fucking idiot." So yeah. No, I remember that to the T.
Yes.
Yeah.
So before we get to all that fun stuff, we're going to do what we normally do. We're going to talk some hot topics in professional wrestling, and there's a lot going on this week. But we're going to try to keep those short because I have a lot to talk about with TJ Bratt. But we definitely cannot, talk about anything before we talk about the passing of Nic Bockwinkel. Unfortunately, that happened a few days ago. Nic Bockwinkel, obviously a true legend across the entire business, but definitely here in Winnipeg, with Winnipeg being a huge AWA market and him being the champion for so long, a part of that organization. A big, vast majority of his career was with the AWA and right here in Winnipeg. Any thoughts or memories of Nic Bockwinkel as we honor the passing of a legend in the business?
Yeah, huge. I had a routine growing up. My parents were a lot older than other kids' parents. I used to, every Saturday, it was 5 o'clock, it was Bugs Bunny. Saturday we'd watch AWA at 6 o'clock, and then I'd watch hockey from 7 to 10, and then hit the sack. And Nic Bockwinkel was all over the TV set, all over the place. Buck Zumhoff, Nic Bockwinkel, those kind of guys. And Nic Bockwinkel was as my dad said, now that's a champion. Like, my dad, I think till the day he died, thought wrestling was a shoot. Like, just the way he looked at it, you always wanted to be the kid inside and didn't want to know what was going on with it so you could enjoy that hour of wrestling. And Nic Bockwinkel is a champion. He had the suit on, he cut the good promos, he liked them way more than like the Hulk Hogan's and stuff like that. That was the man, because from that era of guys, my dad's age, you put a suit on to go to the airport, you put a suit on to go to a social, you put a suit on to go to a wedding, and Nic Bockwinkel always had that suit on, so he totally stood out from everybody else. And a small story you might not know, my brother's in-laws were part of the wrestling commission here in Winnipeg for the AWA, so we got to have the belts come to the house.
Were they buddies with Marty Goldstein?
No, Marty Gold was not discussed at that time. I will guarantee you, he will tell you he was probably at that same table that I was eating like cornflakes. He was sitting there with the commission or something. But, he'll tell you that version. But but Nic Bockwinkel was a top champion. I mean, he was 80 years old, and I think if we could talk to him right now, he'd say he had a hell of a shift.
Yeah. And that's like one thing I've noticed about Bockwinkel is he's credited as being one of the greatest heels of all time, but even when you talk to people that grew up in that era of wrestling, they still love him as a performer. Like, he was a heel, but people loved him for being a heel, and that's really what stuck out to him. He came across as a star, his matches were brilliant, his promos were even more brilliant than the matches, if that was possible, and he just really transcended a time where people were rough and tough wrestlers. He stood above.
Right.
He was in another class.
You had your Mad Dog Vachons, and then you had him, the classy champion.
He exuded class.
Right across the board for sure.
With you two kind of growing up in that era, did you ever get a chance to watch him live here in?
I didn't actually move to Canada until I was 13. My dad was in the military and we were in Germany, so I didn't get to see.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
I didn't
learned 15 years.
No, so unfortunately I didn't move here until 1991. So that wasn't, he was already, long.
By then he was working with Tony Condello on some tapings.
Yeah, he was doing some stuff.
He did, I remember seeing that on television, but I never got to go in person and see any of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, one of my favorite matches to this day is the 1 hour draw with him and Henning. Like, I've watched that match. I probably will watch it again. It's incredible, the hour Broadway they did for the AWA title. And something that people will probably be surprised to hear from me is, I love my old school wrestling, but I'm not a big fan of the AWA, believe it or not, because I was born in '87.
Okay, easy Raven. Remember that's how that whole
Yeah.
started with Raven? we go off for a half hour on how the AWA wasn't that great. Okay, I'll let you continue.
No, I'm not. When I'm going to watch something, I don't pop in AWA. Like I grew up in '87, and I was born in '87, and I grew up on WWF.
Yeah.
So by the time I was introduced to AWA through tapes and such, I've been introduced to like the big, colorful characters of the WWF and the
sense,
wild
yeah.
personality. So when I was then, showing the AWA, it was a little too slow for my liking, and I love like the NWA style of '80s wrestling. That's like I prefer that over WWF from that period. Now that I've like matured as a wrestler and as a man, I prefer that. Like, that's my jam of wrestling. But the AWA I always found was really kind of a little too slow for my liking. They'd really sit on those holds.
Yeah, I was gonna say they were very rest hold heavy.
Yeah, so it was tough for me as a young man to sit and watch this stuff when I'd been accustomed to the wild, crazy characters like the Ultimate Warrior.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But Nic Bockwinkel was somebody on those tapes I always enjoyed, and to this day, if I do happen to catch something AWA, Nic Bockwinkel someday will stop and watch, or when the Rockers were in the AWA, or young Rick Martel, or
Doug
Kurt Hennig.
Summers was in Buddy Rose were good.
Yeah, so there are some
yeah.
he was a part of one of those exceptions, but a lot of those tapes, I can fast forward through this.
Especially the last couple of years of the AWA.
Yeah.
Real bad.
Yeah.
Real bad with T. Joe Khan and Soldat Ustinov, guys like that. You didn't want to watch them to become workers.
No. So with that, we'll kind of to move on. Another big story is one of the head trainers at the Performance Center and a CWE alumni. Billy Gunn was released from WWE this week for an apparent steroid test that he failed doing some powerlifting over the summer. That's kind of come to light as of late. Any thoughts on the releasing of Billy Gunn? Is it justified, seeing it was he's not under his contract for him to not he's not tested under his WWE contract for performance-enhancing drugs. He was tested for it on a powerlifting meet.
Thing.
But so they released him. Is that justified in doing so?
Honestly, I think this is the first time I've heard of anyone from CWE doing steroids. Like, I'm shocked that that's even someone like that's been in our locker room with I sat there and had a conversation with the guy but no, kidding aside. I think it's bullshit.
Oh, kidding aside, everybody.
No, I think it's bullshit. I don't think that's anything that should affect his job.
Is that why Big Blood's so jacked?
That is why.
Is that his trade?
Yeah, he bring the keys.
That's why the main vein is public.
No, it's bullshit. It's got nothing to do. He's not an in-ring performer anymore. Who gives a fuck? Let him do it.
Playing devil's advocate, the argument is the people that are under contract and performing at the Performance Center are tested for steroids. So with him being one of the head coaches, it sets a bad example that one of their trainers and head coaches is using something they're not allowed to. Does that send a bad message?
No, do as I say, not as I do. He's the boss. He's not the trainee. He's not the NXT rookie. He's not. He's none of that.
The way I look at the business now, though, with it being on the stock market and all that kind of stuff, is just completely different. You sneeze the wrong way and they're going to tell you to go home until it all goes away, and then they'll bring you back. And you have to just follow their rules.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that. They did that with kind of like Finley when he kind of was like the scapegoat when they were doing those shows overseas. And like Miz did something with the flag that was disrespectful. Right. So they fired him for a couple years, and then they brought him on back, and he's back.
And you got to wonder if the way people are, maybe they are getting a paycheck somewhere at that point to be quiet and.
Here's a buyout on your contract.
We'll send you something once a month.
The buyout.
There you go.
It'll all blow over, and then back you go.
An interesting take on it, actually, and a perspective I never thought to take before was when Rob Van Dam was here. Actually, he being a marijuana advocate,
connoisseur.
He was asked at a lot of the media we went to and a lot of the the Q&As we did. He was asked about the UFC fighter that had like a 5-year ban because of he was asked a lot about that, and he actually had an interesting take on it. That obviously he's supportive of people being able to use marijuana for medicinal purposes or whatever they may want to use it for. But he also brought up a point that if it was in Nick's contract for him to not use marijuana and he went and used it, well then he is in violation of his contract. So
this is his third offense. So
so ethically he maybe should be allowed to do it, but he did put his name on a piece of paper saying I will not touch these drugs.
That's not exactly how it does. It's not a contract. It's different state to state. So if you're fighting in an MMA fight in the state of California, you can be exempt. You can have a medicinal marijuana license and still fight your fight in the state of California. And as long as you have that license and that comes up in your post-fight test, you're okay. So when he was in the Strike Force, which was based solely out of San Jose, which is where he gained a lot of his notoriety and fame, he was fine. Pissed, clean. Otherwise, there was no performance enhancing. But Nevada, which is the bulk of the UFCs, forbids any kind. Well, it's all painkillers, and I see the logic behind it. You can't test positive for OxyContin. You can't test positive for Percocet.
Even with a prescription.
Even with a prescription.
Wow.
Because they want you to be in there 100% healthy. They don't want you masking pain from a lingering injury. They want the pain gone. They don't want you fighting with any kind of lingering injury. They won't want you masking pain. They want you only fight. So it's for your own protection is why they're doing it. And they regard marijuana as a painkiller. And they're saying, okay, well, if you have pain to mask, then you're not healthy and you're not fit to fight, and you're putting yourself in danger.
Oh yeah, and you can argue too that then it is performance enhancing because you as a person, you have this pain and you're taking care of it with something that the other guy isn't using, so technically you have an unfair advantage over him.
And
in a very state to state.
And some rules just suck, and I'm pro marijuana completely. And what I get is when people are getting. There we go. I lost my train of thought.
Are you high right now?
Was that because of the marijuana?
Whack there.
Yeah, but with Nick Diaz, I hate that. I gotta say, he's just gotta follow the rules. That's what it comes down to. When I go out with my buddies, I'm actually pushing 40 years old, and they still laugh at me. I don't bring the marijuana in the car. Because if that cop pulls me over, what am I going to sit there and say, hey, I'm TJ Bratt, give me a break here?
Well, you probably would, yeah.
No, I don't.
That's probably what you would say.
With that, that's when I have to adjust myself to the compound. But
the reason I bring that up, though, if it's not in Billy's contract,
that's what I'm saying.
If it's not in his contract, then he cannot use.
How can he be reprimanded for it?
Yeah, but they probably have a morality clause in the contract, and that's factored into there. That is.
Oh, I'm sure they in this day and age.
And I think that's what it comes down to in a case like this, whether you agree with it or not.
Right.
The ethics or the morals of it. It's a corporate company, and they can let you go for what they want. If they don't agree with what you're doing, you either have to play ball or you have to.
That's what they always say. It's like silly. It's like when you watch like Bigger, Faster, Stronger, which is a steroid, documentary.
Yeah.
They talk about like how steroids will not make you a better performer. They might make you more equipped in certain departments. It's not going to make you hit the ball. Like if you're on steroids, if you can't hit a baseball, you're not going to magically be able to hit a baseball because you're on steroids. So they, a lot of times steroids in sports gets dismissed as an advantage because it's going to make you stronger, it's going to make you faster, but it may not necessarily make you more talented.
No.
If you are talented, yes, it's going to give you an advantage. But they bring up valid points, and they're like Tiger Woods, for example. Being a golfer, one of the best golfers in the world, had to undergo eye surgery years ago, like a decade ago. He got some kind of eye surgery done that gave him better vision than like people have walking the planet on a normal day-to-day basis. So in a sport where his vision is key to his success, would that not be giving him an unfair advantage? No, he's not on steroids, but he's now had a medical procedure done that has made him superhuman to his competitors.
I haven't been around this guy in almost 2.5 years, and you are one intelligent son of a bitch. I gotta tell you that right now. That came out very smooth, and that's exactly right there.
And you can almost draw it. I actually stole this from Troy Westwood from his radio show. He said you could draw the same parallel in a lot of the entertainment business too. Like people put all these asterisks on, especially baseball players who've tested positive for steroids and say, okay, well they're stricken from the records and they can't enter the Hall of Fame. They still accomplish that, and with the help of drugs or not, it's different. They said look at the stand-up comedy industry. So who would you say are the greatest stand-up comics of all time? Richard Pryor, George Carlin, guys like that. They're on the arguments. They're on fucking mind-altering drugs. So does that not does that exempt them from being the best stand-up comic of all time? No.
Is there a comedy Hall of Fame? I don't know though.
I don't think
well,
so.
there's like the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
But there's like, referencing that movie against, I've watched it quite a few times. Like they even like bring up a point, like performers, for example, they were interviewing people that play in a group band.
Right.
And a lot of them will take anxiety pills because it'll calm their nerves and anxiety. So they're able to perform better. So it's not a steroid, but it's increasing their ability to perform at a capable level they wouldn't be able to play at without that. So the world is in such a black and gray area, and the U.S. is a lot different. Like a lot of countries don't have strict steroid laws.
No.
I think America is the strictest.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Like Mexico, you could buy it on the street.
Russia, you can get it. You said
with the lorazepam there, I think that's the way Nick Diaz is with the marijuana. Wake up in the morning, he's probably that kid that went to school that was in trouble before 5 minutes was into the day.
Oh yeah, you ever heard his interviews for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And hello, that's me, the loose kid. I was exactly like that. And when I discovered marijuana, I didn't start really smoking until like my early 20s. He was like, Mom, I found this thing, and this is why I'm the way I am now. And if I don't have that first thing in the morning, I am the fucking Canadian loose cannon. So the same thing with Nic Diaz. Give him that bong hit in the morning, and he's going to hit the gym. He's going to do his triathlons. He's going to do his workouts.
He runs marathons.
So why make it so hard for that guy's mind to operate?
To even take it to another level, like especially in America, because they're very anti-steroid. I'm assuming it probably has to do with the health industry, because it's such a big dollar business there. But they hand out like Adderall to kids like candy. So kids without Adderall would struggle in school. You give them the Adderall, they're able to focus and they're able to write tests better. So you're now giving them advantage. So technically they're cheating on that test. They're using a mind-altering substance to help them perform better on those exams. So what's the difference between a performer taking something to help them maybe run a little bit better or bench a little bit more? So it's really a big
difference. It's black and white.
A lot of it's the difference of having a doctor's signature on a fucking piece of paper or not. I don't know, maybe you can shed some light on this, on where it lands in the world of professional wrestling, but in mixed martial arts up until very recently, people were exempt from, if they had TRT approvals from a doctor, and what that is testosterone replacement therapy. So if you're getting to be, say, Randy Couture's age, where you're in your mid-40s and your kind of testosterone levels aren't at their optimal anymore, maybe you might need it, but there was guys that were like 22, 23 years old that get this doctor's note, hey, I need legal steroids, I need TRT, testosterone. Like, obviously, you fucking use it to get, so that you can have, but it was fine as long as you had that note. And there was one guy, named Marquardt, who actually got pulled from a main event because he didn't get his note in time. He's been using testosterone-based steroids his whole career, and then he had a fight coming up, he's like, fuck, I forgot to get my prescription renewed, and he got pulled the day before a main event, and like, it was like this big, huge fucking deal. But that's the difference. Like that's the difference. Is a signature on a piece of fucking paper is the difference as to whether you're cheating or not. Like,
From what I understand, and I could be off because this is secondhand information, but from what I understand, like in WWE, like there are guys that will be on steroids, but they have a prescription for it. Like they have,
problem.
they have some kind of prescription, or there are guys that are on painkillers because you do need it in this business. Like whether guys want to believe it or not, there's some people that do need it for legitimate reasons. So there are people that do, take certain things, but they've had a doctor sign off on it. So as long as it's approved by, the WWE doctors as legitimate, you can take it. So there's a difference between, say, if you get prescribed, Percocet from a doctor and you work for WWE and you're prescribed, you can take 2 every 4 hours. Well, if you, take your blood test and it pops up that you've been taking 5 every 4 hours, well, now you're in trouble. As long as you're sticking to what you're legitimately legally allowed to do.
See where your levels should be at if you're taking your prescription, and then base it on that. Okay.
I think what it comes down to, though, is really we're just debating the ethics of it all and the morals and who believes what. But when it comes down to it, you're being paid to do what you're told, and if you don't do it, then they have cause to tell you to
100%.
And that's really what happened. And, whether you agree with him using them or not is really a moot point, because that's... You know what you're getting into when you sign a contract with them. You know what you're getting into. You know the rules. You know what policies they support and don't support.
The way I look at it, straight shooting, beautiful, nice job like that, running the young guys through drills, working it. Put the power lifting away.
Yeah,
you might not have to do that. You're living out there in the hot areas. Do your job and move on.
It's really unfortunate. Like I love Billy. He's somebody he's done. I think he's probably done 3 tours for us for CWE. Like we brought him on every loop.
Was he part of a CWE tour when he feasted Dirkson's wife, or was that a different organization?
That was the WFX CWE joint effort.
Yeah.
So it was around that time. But Billy did Billy did the loop on us in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Northwestern Ontario. So he did a lot of I spent a lot of time on the road with Billy, and he's an incredible mind for the business, and I think he's a very underrated mind in the business.
And I think that's why he had that job.
Yeah, he's incredible. Like in terms of you can go to him with a booking idea for not just himself but for anybody on the show and say hey, what do you think of this? Or he was always very hands-on, like watching the shows, giving guys feedback. So when I heard he had the trainer job, I knew that was a great fit for him because I had seen it firsthand how hands-on he was and how passionate he was, which is probably the most important thing being in a job like that, because it can be really mundane, training people and being out of the spotlight yourself and now having to help others get there. But it's no secret at that time he was battling a lot of demons in his personal life with addictions and things of that nature, which he finally was able to kick, thank God, because it's it's kept him alive.
And you know what? That's the way I broke it down in my wired head. There was the fact that I think the reason he is able to kick things now in his life and be relaxed was he had another job to fall back on. where you didn't have to be on the road and do
Yeah.
this and do that, where you checked in every day.
Condition yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I hate to say it, let's see what happens after losing a job like that. Does he have to go back into that cycle again, or is he strong enough to just keep going now?
If I had to take a guess, like, I imagine he will be back. Like,
Yeah, they'll have to,
you gotta like let it cool down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really hope he does, because like I said, he for us that dealt with him on a day-to-day basis, you could see he was having some struggles and stuff like that, which he was able to overcome. So for him to get that job and kind of get back in the saddle, like,
that's the term, yeah.
Yeah, for a lot of us, it was really cool for us to see like him make that transition and show, because like, we're, being in wrestling, we're surrounded by people with that stuff all the time that go through those problems. So to see somebody be able to kick
And
it,
they're dinks because of it.
yeah. And
Yeah.
to try to like to go through those, like, everybody has personal struggles, whether it be with drugs, alcohol, or depression, or
Jacking off too much.
yeah, whatever,
Whatever.
gay porn, like whatever it might be. I owed you one. It's been a while. Whatever everybody has struggles. So it was really legitimately inspirational to see him go from here and kind of work his way back up to being where he wanted to be. Like when he was on Raw again,
And at the age he is that.
yeah, be on TV and busting his ass. Like I had a smile on my face seeing him come out onto Raw and doing that loop for the little while that he's doing with Road Dogg, because they're both great and they both kind of overcame the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, when I did Raw and SmackDown back in August, I kind of bumped into Road Dogg at the hotel in the lobby, and it was good to see. Like, I hadn't seen him in 5 years, and he was another guy that cleaned himself up, and he was in such good spirits. And if you follow him on social media, he's a very positive person that's really happy that he was able to turn his life around. So he's an inspiration that guys can do it. So hopefully Billy gets stays on track and gets back where he is, because he's somebody that deserves it.
Maybe we'll get lucky and get to cross paths with Billy in the near future.
Maybe another CWE run.
Maybe.
And we'll wrap up, our national wrestling discussion. I guess a hot topic go to Raw last night. I haven't had a chance to watch the promo yet, but I have been getting a lot of messages about it. I guess the episode ended with a contract signing with Paige and Charlotte signing off for a Divas title match. Mm-hmm. And in the promo, maybe Travis can kind of word it a little bit for me, because you kind of had the
I just saw the 1 minute clip on Twitter, like they had but it showed they were talking about her family's, Charlotte was talking about her family's struggles to really push forward in life and whatnot, and how she was standing there as a champion, kind of representing her brother's dreams, because he was a wrestler, and so that she was kind of saying that. And then things started to escalate a little bit, because they were in Carolina too. So Paige cut the promo calling Flair an old fart or whatever, what have you, and it escalated. I believe, don't quote me exactly on this, but I believe what Paige said was Charlotte was talking about how much fight her family had, and she said, "Well, your little baby brother didn't have very much fight, did he?" And then that went brawl from there. Obviously, that was the jump over the table moment.
And that was obviously referencing the passing of her younger brother, who battled, addictions and has since passed away. Is something like that crossing the line? It's come out since last night that obviously that Charlotte and Flair gave the okay, and obviously they would need to for something like that to happen, I would imagine. Is something like that going too far, or in the reality world of professional wrestling, is that the route you have to go now to get heat?
I think that, personally, that's going too far, but you just said that if they approved it, in my opinion, that's all at the point it matters to is if they approved it.
I'm not saying that whether I agree with it or not, but just to throw it out there for you as well. They approved it, however, it did come out today that Reed's mother and Charlotte's mother did cut the promo on Twitter, how she was upset about it. So obviously it wasn't cleared with Reed's mother. So does that affect your opinion at all?
That's where I just have to. That's why I could never work for the WWE, no matter the best wrestler I was, because at that point you can't start bringing in family members to make decisions and all that. Rick and Charlotte, they work for the company. They're in the angles. They're in this. If you start calling in moms or stepmoms or great aunts that took care of you, like. Who do you get the final say from? That's the way I look at it. Like, I would be upset about it because I have 4 children. If that came up, I don't know how I would handle it.
Rob, too far or acceptable?
Given WWE's history, I think that's it's par for the course, especially if they've okayed it, just given their history. But now with reality and how WWE is, I think that it is a little bit too far.
Did you get a chance to watch it, Rob?
I did watch it. Yeah, I actually watched it.
I'm just I'm curious, like, how you feel, just with us being all wrestlers, obviously a lot of us, and that was one of the things that I saw today, people talking about, was as wrestlers, most of us are like business first. Like, if I died tomorrow and he decided to use that in an angle somehow, that wouldn't bother me at all, because, you know, that's just how we are. So I'm curious how someone from an outsider, watching it as a fan, what your perspective is. Did it make you feel uncomfortable? Did it make you feel, were you okay with, you know what I mean?
How did the fans
How did it
respond
make
to
you
it?
feel? Because that seems to be...
Do they understand it? Like,
They kind of did. I mean, they kind of popped for when she was talking about the Carolinas, like, because of it or whatever.
because Reed was never on WWE
Yeah.
television, so unless you're like kind of an inside person
When
that follows it, you probably wouldn't understand the
know the
reference.
Yeah.
Like, maybe being in the Carolinas, you might, because it's
they
probably
dropped that
heavy.
name in.
Charlotte did mention that he had passed in her promo leading up to it.
Yeah.
They just didn't
Okay.
mention how, obviously.
She
So
mentioned
did
them
mention-
before, and then Paige came back and, you know.
They mentioned it, I forgot, they mentioned it as like a thing where it was, they came up, the story they're trying to tell is that they were in the same tryout class together at FCW back in the day, and that when Reed passed, Paige was the one who comforted Charlotte as a friend. Like, they're kind of blurring the lines there a little bit. And then, so that was kind of, that's how they kind of set it up, was okay, he passed in a way that was kind of, but they didn't really specify why. And then that's how the line came about from there.
See, this is interesting in the sense, and this goes back to a discussion we had on the podcast a couple weeks ago about reality transcending into wrestling angles, because they stopped the Rusev Lana angle because they announced publicly they were engaged, so they dropped the angle, put them back together. Is wrestling at that point now where you almost have to kind of book around the reality of people's real life situations, because everybody's so open on social media about who they are and what they do. Like, when I'm working as a heel, if I'm cutting a promo on somebody, from character to character, not person to person, as a character, I'm going to try to find the most insulting, hurtful things to get under that babyface's skin so he wants to kill me. So if we're now neglecting characters and we're relying on these people being more realistic to who they are as people, if I'm in an angle with you, Rob, do I now go, okay, well, what's going to be the most offensive to him personally that's going to get him pissed off and cross that line to draw that real heat, brother? Because like now it's it's not authentic heat anymore. It's like, oh, that's the baby face, that's the heel. So do we now have to go cross that line of wrestling insults to real life insults to get that heat?
You mean like Adam Race?
Like Adam Race. Favorite promo, by the way.
It's funny you mentioned that, because it seems like it's so hard for a heel to do anything these days that's considered despicable. Just going back to the Paige thing, she cut the promo a few weeks ago when she turned heel, burying just about every woman in the locker room, and she still managed to get cheered. She buried all the baby faces, all the heels, and the fans still cheered her. So is this them finding a way, like, we have to find a way to make her despicable if we want to sell
So back in the
this match?
70s and 80s when wrestling, or 60s, 70s, 80s when wrestling got lots and lots of heat, they were bringing in family members and shaving their heads and doing that kind of stuff.
Like being racist.
Big kind of stuff. So if they are proving it, that's the thing. So they were doing it and they were drawing good houses off family angles back in the day and stuff like that. But I think now with what you had said, I personally think with the show that when Divas came on TV, and they started showing people dating people, and you have to go to the next level and just take it over. You can't work half the fans that this is this, and then shoot on the other side. It confuses them.
Yeah, and that's actually the discussion we had. And another point, and I don't know if I've had this discussion on the podcast, but I've had it with many people over the years, and I'll probably have it a million times more. Wrestling is considered entertainment. It's considered a show. If you ask the casual person walking down the street about wrestling, go, oh, wrestling's fake. Right? So if it's viewed as entertainment and it's viewed as a show, why is it half the things we do in today's society on a wrestling show considered politically incorrect or insensitive? Where, if on a wrestling show, if me and Travis are on a wrestling show, and in character I said, Travis, you're nothing but, a fucking faggot. Something like that would get people upset. Like, that's insensitive, that's politically incorrect. But if I watch Criminal Minds
Well,
or
if I watch Will Smith, he's pretty clean, but you know what I mean?
you know, if
Dave Chappelle says you cocksucker on the air to the guy.
Yeah,
Are you a cocksucker? It's all entertainment.
and it's all entertainment. Haha, it's so funny. You watch a stand-up comedian, they'll say stuff like that all the time. Haha, it's funny. But wrestling gets typecast as you can't do that. It's too real. You can't make offensive remarks like that. You can't bring race, sexuality, family. So where's the line? Like, why is wrestling blurred into reality and being entertainment? Like, which one is it?
Maybe another 10 years it'll just be entertainment. We're in the middle of that transition.
Yeah, we have such a weird business now where
it's kind of
nobody knows me as who I really am. Like my Twitter handles, my Facebook handles.
Right.
That's Travis Cole. They don't know. They don't know.
Every get together I go to, it's Bratt or TJ.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm Jay, get it back, you know?
Yeah, they know me as Travis Cole. They don't. Very few of the boys in the business know my real name. Like that's just something that's separate. Whereas
that was your real name.
If what's that?
I thought that was your real name.
No, it's not. See, exactly. That's my point.
We're all learning about each other today.
We've been friends for
learning
3 years, Kevin. Yeah. And I think we're at this weird point where it's like if this is an old reference, but say if Jennifer Aniston is on Twitter, she's not tweeting as fucking Rachel from Friends. She's tweeting as herself. So if she says something insensitive, that it comes back on her. But we're in this weird.
She ain't tweeting.
We're in this weird blurred thing where it's like, is it Travis Cole talking, or is it actually me talking?
You know what? I was gonna tell you that. I know we're into the national stuff, but I had that for the last 5-6 years of my wrestling.
Yeah.
They did not know who they were talking to. You try to convince them that I'm like this, no, you're like that. No, I'd still be a dink as Jay on that situation, or TJ Bratt. You know what I mean?
And I get that all the time too, because like I go above and beyond to try to be over the top and ridiculous on my social media as me, the performer.
Right.
But because there's that blurred line of Danny Duggan, the wrestler, and Danny Warren, the person, people, if I say something offensive, they think me as a person is being offensive. But I'm just doing, I'm saying things that my character would say or how I would do it because I'm promoting myself as a wrestling personality. So like I'll meet people and they'll pop, oh, your social media is so funny, and I'll talk about banging chicks and all these funny references, but then they meet me in person and they're like, oh, that's not really who you are.
Yeah.
So it's such a weird world now with social media.
Now imagine 30 years ago, even though when you were really working being a heel, being that kind of shit, you couldn't walk to the buildings.
No.
Fans were fucking ape shit. Crazy.
Yeah.
Ape shit.
Like back then.
I would have loved it.
Back in the day, brother, you could go and like whoever you were as a performer, that's how you were viewed in public.
Right.
But now you can't do that because if you're your character all the time and now you're being offensive. But no, that's my character being offensive.
Right.
Yes, it's coming from my mouth, but where's that line between character and real life? Like it's so weird now. I don't even know how to explain what I'm trying to say because it's just so blurry together. And
from my experience, and I'm not trying to talk like some old Terry Funk wrestler or something like this. But now that I haven't wrestled for 2.5 years, it actually took me 2.5 years, and I was just an independent wrestler to get back to Jay, the hockey coach, the dad, the calm dad. Because when I was dealing with I hate to say it, a lot of the guys in the wrestling business are fucking idiots. And I got along with some of them, and we're always talking about stuff like this. And I was always, like I always said, I put my hands were up the last 5 years of my wrestling career. But then, you go back and you realize, and then you can say sorry to a few guys and make up with them and then move on. But it's like, you just, people think you're a dink, be a dink, right?
Right. And I say this to people out of even wrestling context, when it comes to emotions, we're in control of our emotions. In theory, we're in control of our own emotions. You can say anything to me right now, and I have the choice on how I want to react to that.
Yeah.
And I find we're in a world now that with everybody having a social media account, everybody feels like they're entitled to an opinion.
Blood.
Yeah, except Dick Blood.
You know what I like to say is on Facebook, Danny, I have about 125 people on there, where I know people that haven't left their basement 5 years and they have 3,000 friends on their Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's like, huh?
Yeah.
That's how I like to try to keep the real away from,
Right.
But
But the point I'm trying to get at here is everybody, there's a difference now with everybody having an open forum to kind of talk about their views, their likes, their dislikes, that it's no longer, I don't like something. Every time somebody doesn't like something, it's, I'm offended by this. I'm disrespected by that. I gotta make a scene about this.
You can't say that.
You can't, if I
gotta chill at that.
Yeah, if I say something that somebody doesn't agree with, it's not like, I don't agree with that. It's like, I'm offended and disrespect. How could you say something? You're
use that
so
word, yeah.
insensitive. It's like, come on, are you really offended by it? Does it really change your day-to-day operate? No, you now have an open forum where people can be drawn into your bullshit, so you're creating.
What I've learned over the years is that who I let into my circle is up to me now, right? Where before I let everybody come in, hit me with elbows, fucking forearms.
I'm very much the same way.
Treat me like
100%.
fucking shit, kick me in the balls. I'd do business with them again, they'd fuck me over again. Now it's like, that guard's up and you ain't coming in, and it's gonna take a lot before I could, let you pass that wall. And it doesn't happen over 6 beers and a fucking night at Celebrate House or something, right? Oh yeah, you hear guys, hey man, we're best of friends after one night like that. No, it takes a year or two to really get to know each other, who you can trust, what you can say.
Exactly.
Get to know people's, like you said, personality, stuff, what upsets people.
When it comes to the wrestling business, there's a very small portion I could probably count on my hand that I would call like about a legitimate life issue or personal issue. I think sometimes we all get kind of drawn into that, especially when you're young in the business. You're just so eager to hang out with everybody, live the life. So you consider everybody your friend, but then as time goes on, you realize, maybe they're not my friends. They're just guys I see at wrestling shows that I've got a little bit in common with. And then we start to break down the substance of it. There's really nothing there.
The only thing in common is the wrestling.
And that's it. Like, you wouldn't be like, there's guys that I really, really enjoy in my locker room that I think are awesome, and I run into them. It's like, hey, great to see you. I enjoy sitting down and talking to them and catching up. But for the 29 other days of the month, I don't call them.
Right.
But does that consider them my friend, not my friend? I don't know. But, like,
as you get older, the friends become fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer.
And then there's the other side of the coin where there's like plenty of people that I don't even want to talk to at shows. Never mind.
You see them coming and you're like, oh shit! I don't want to shake that fucking hand. I'm not the business no more.
On that note, I think that's a perfect transition. We're going to take a quick break so we can kind of plug all the upcoming CWE events on the schedule and all that fun stuff. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about why that guard is up with TJ Bratt.
But it's down now, but I'll,
get the glove. Get the gloves off.
We'll spin that helmet on the ice once or twice.
Now we're going to have some fun. We're going to get deep and down in the personal life and career of the Canadian loose cannon, TJ Bratt. Normally when we have guests on the program... The career.
There you go.
Normally when we have guests on, I have to kind of scramble to come up with some stuff to get the intriguing, fun stuff people want to hear. And, with the podcast, I've always tried to avoid the, who trained you, who was your favorite match, all the bullshit that, maybe some people want to hear about, but I don't want to talk about.
We're not Garber Snake here.
No. So I've got a list of things. I'm going to be jumping all over the map. Like I mentioned at the top of the program, I could be talking to you for days, and we'll have to probably do another edition someday. So I kind of got some key people to talk about, some key stories. We'll jump all over the board. We're just going to jump right in and have some fun. A couple months ago, I was on the road, I think in Minnesota, and I got a couple texts from the boys saying TJ Bratt and Playboy Will Damon got into a fight at the Travel Lodge. You're out of the business now 3.5 years. Damon's not really in the business much anymore.
Never really was.
What prompted two people, yourself and Damon, watching a wrestling show? You're not even on the show. You're not in the locker room. How did the two of you end up getting into a fight at the Travel Lodge?
Well, I love it. It went into a fight, but it was more of a heated dispute that nearly got into a fight. But I went to a PCW show. It was the first show I had been into in a long time. And went there after my Friday night bowling league now that I'm doing as an old veteran like myself. And went there to play some VLTs, have a couple beers, and there was Dan King sitting in the corner. And said hello to him when I came in, walked by, and I proceeded to use the washroom after about 4 beer. I had to unleash it and let it go. And in comes Dan King behind me, and he starts cutting his promo on me about...
Dan King is Playboy Will Damon.
Playboy Will Damon,
Not familiar with his other alias.
And decides to go on some sort of positive talk about life at this point, saying I don't want to be in the career I'm in. And I was in real estate with Remax at the time. I'm very proud of my career that I worked hard for after I left wrestling. And he decided to just get on me. And there's a few guys that still know how to get on me, and he's one of them. And we had an altercation almost at Teasers after one of your shows with when Gangrel went at it in the park. No, sorry, when Chevy and someone went at it in the park. Davidson, yeah. That same night we had an altercation. So I guess...
So he was needling you while you two were both pissing. So this was literally a dick waving contest.
No, nothing. I was done to piss at that point, man. And I was washing my hands, and that's when he walked in and decided to get on me. And from there, I just basically, like I said, whether it's a wrestling ring, a hockey game, or somebody does something wrong when they're driving the car with me, I'm going to let you know. And I said, get the fuck away from me and quit getting lippy. And I'm here to enjoy the show, and I'm not in the wrestling business anymore. And him and my camera, his sidekick, were sitting there together, and they kept pointing at me and pointing at me and pointing at me for about an hour. And just my personality, after an hour I had to go over, and I said, if there's a problem with you, let's go outside and let's get this over with. Enough with the pointing bullshit. And that's what a lot of people tend to call my fights. I just tend to call people on their bullshit. And if they're going to say, Jay, we're going outside, well then we're 50-50. We're going out there and he's going to hit my jaw or I'm going to hit his, is the way I look at it. And I'm not going to let some guy like him run his mouth at me, and that was that night at Doubles, and I got to say I was proud of myself, because as I was leaving there was people wondering if this was, like we said, a work, a shoot, was it back to wrestling? No, and I was getting more heat than that whole fucking show.
So this actually caused a commotion during the show?
I think they were in between matches or something at that point, and we were getting escorted out, and they have some big security guards at Doubles now watching the matches there. Not when I was running there, they didn't have that. And yeah, they hauled us out of there, and that was it.
So did he follow you outside?
No, he stayed behind the two doors yelling at me and telling me, you know, and that's when I started basically telling him I'm not too keen on his traveling one-man show that he has, his orgasm show there, or soulgasm. And decided to let him know that I thought that was the fakest thing going out in society today, and he defended it, so.
I heard the line was, you can't even sell a punch, how are you going to sell a house? Is that what he said to you?
No, it was something. No, you know what he actually kept saying to me was stupid. That's where I knew I was just a mature young man now at that point, was he was trying to yell over a bunch of people that MVP made me. And I'm like, we're local wrestling people here. I don't know who made me or who made them, but they got their own little ego heads there that MVP made me, so.
So does this mean the next time you two run into each other, there's going to be fists thrown, or is it?
No, you know what? I've like I said, even since then, that's almost a year ago. I'm not going to waste. My late mom gave me advice to never trust a guy wearing a hat like that. And she says right back, she was 75 when she passed, right back to the days when she was young. You don't trust a guy, and he's a little sneaky little.
You guys go way back, because you were in that angle, 10 years ago, MVP, which was Madison, Damon, DiCaprio versus TJ Bratt.
Yeah.
So has there always been some kind of hostility between you and Damon? Because there's plenty with you and Madison, which we're going to get to, because that's a whole other topic. Did you and Damon always have some kind of heat?
With Damon, you know what it came down to, and this is where I want to get some shit off my chest, because I respect guys like you that are going on the road, busting your ass, town to town. Sometimes there's 30 people there, and you say, fuck, I'd rather be at home than this. Like, I call it how it is, hey? And then there's some nights you go in front of 30 people, and it's like, fuck, let's have the match of the night, you know? Will Damon never left the fucking perimeter highway to do any type of wrestling. He wrestled Shane Madison probably 800 times, Donnie DiCaprio, some sort of angle, might have thrown a few matches with Johnny Malibu, and I don't even know, maybe Chris Harris, something like that. But he never actually made a phone call to say, can I get booked on your show out of town? Can I jump in the car? Can I go actually be a wrestler?
Did he go to New Jersey that one time?
Yeah, but you know what? Maybe he went to New Jersey, but I don't think anybody gave him anything to come there. They probably made a road trip out of it and then said they wrestled there on the weekend. It's like when he ran New Wrestling Nation in Vancouver. That was just one-time show, and him and his top hat went out there and cut a promo, and it's...
You really don't like that hat?
You know what I don't like is guys in the business that never gave anything, but think they can show up like at a Doubles on a Friday night and walk around with their nose up like they fucking wrestled 1,000 matches, went to the best training camp in the school or in the world. No offense to Don's camp, great camp, but England Storm or Dudley Boys or something to that effect. So yeah, he's just he's not. We don't get along anymore, and it came down in wrestling. It was he had a promo and I had a promo. You might remember that. And my promos up till the panty dropping promos, they used to change every night, and his was the same thing every night.
So who's the better promo guy? TJ
Oh,
Bratt or
I'm by
Dave?
far the better promo guy. I'll say that right now. He's actually never had a chance to leave Winnipeg and try his promo where they don't know who you are. He got his shtick over, and once you get your shtick over, it's very easy in Winnipeg. As you get it over, it's over.
Is there anybody in Winnipeg in your time that has cut a better promo than TJ Bratt?
Without sounding conceited, I never could throw a good fucking arm drag. I could never, be the technician that Nic Bockwinkel was, like we were talking about. But I took pride in it, and I want to say, I don't think there was, when I was wrestling, a better promo. Don Callis was around, and I took pride to being as good as Don Callis. And that's how I always wanted to.
Maybe Tony Condello.
Being somebody that's so credited for having a good promo, who are some other guys that you would say that have been up there in your time in the business of cutting a good promo?
You know what? Bobby J cuts a good promo locally, but that's local promos. You know, it doesn't take a lot of talent. Other than that, when I was in the business, I was not overly impressed with a lot of the promos. One guy that kind of stood out to me in the long run was James Mitchell. When he got the microphone,
yeah.
He knew how to get a crowd going. When he came out, they wanted the entertainment, and he wasn't trying to be a tough guy promo, which I was all the time. He knew how to kind of make himself lesser than which takes a lot of talent.
Is there anybody that would go toe to toe with you in a promo when you're doing your angles that held their own?
No. And I have to be honest. I don't. You know what, Danny? I'm looking at you, and I can recall, and this isn't going to be put over Danny because he's sitting beside me. But we did a segment, I don't know if you'll remember, and we didn't even have a match. I beat the shit out of Brian Rich.
And it wasn't even on a show, actually. It was your house.
But it was a 3-minute segment. You came in, you bumped me around for about 3-4 bumps. Like they meant something. I was going in the corner, and then we cut the promo on each other. That was good, but I think at the time, I outdueled you still, you know what I mean? But anything else in the wrestling business, I couldn't really compete with anybody. So that's why I took so much pride in saying, yeah, I was the best promo. I used to, Chi Cruz, I used to watch his promos as a kid, and I was just like, oh, fuck. This is fucking brutal, you know? Like that's how I told it. I'd watch a lot of these things, and a lot of guys said, oh, Don Callis this, Don Callis. Hey, Don Callis had that fucking promo, and he talked, and you go back and look at his old Tony tapes, he took pride in doing his promos.
Well, that'll actually bring me to the next member of MVP that we're going to talk about, because he's somebody else that's accredited for his promos, and that's the Mecca Shea Madison. Where do you rank him on that list?
Average. Very average. Very, very average. He would go out there, and there was no spunk to his stuff. A lot of just, you could tell he was practicing that all day, and if the crowd got him off his game, he didn't know how to come back off that promo and get back into it. It was like, oh fuck, I can't remember what I'm saying, or he would try to come off a lot meaner than he really was when he should have been playing and he still, to this day, should play the chicken shit heel. Yeah, and he's trying to be the tough guy heel is the way I look at it.
To be fair, because I've worked with him a lot in the last 3-4 years, he's very good at talking tough and backpedaling when he needs to. Like, as a babyface, when I'm working with him, he'll talk the biggest game in the world, but the second I step up to the plate to knock his teeth out of his mouth, he's backing off.
Yeah, see, like I've caught some stuff even when he was ripping on Adam Race and stuff like that. You could just see that was Jeff Wallace coming out. I want to get something on Adam Race here, and I want to get some fucking shit on in this kid, and I want to hit him hard, and that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I mean by just the way he cut his promos. It takes a lot to really impress me when it comes. One of my favorite promos was Shane Douglas. I just fucking loved him. And then when everybody used to rip on me, every promoted show, you used to joke around about it at the end because you knew. But if I dropped an F-bomb or two, I thought I did it stronger than if some guy that was 142 pounds was dropping the F-bomb and trying to impress the crowd.
Right.
And even me, I was only 5'11", 215. It took a lot to try to get that motherfucker that jacked in the front row telling you you're a skinny motherfucker and he's going to kick your ass. You better let him have it.
Definitely.
That way when you come out back and with the blonde hair and shit, they're behind you. And yeah. I never had a problem getting anybody behind, to work with to get behind them. Is the way I look at it.
You've been in the business so long, and you and Madison are kind of go hand in hand. Like when people talk about either one of you, it's very common that the other name comes up because you guys had such a history so long in your career, so much history, but it was so long ago in your career. And he's somebody. He is a friend of mine. You guys have had your on and offs over the years, but a lot of people have this notion that, oh, you know, he's just a promo guy, he's just a look. But as somebody that travels as much as I do and I wrestle top quality guys, even with him being in retirement or taking time off, however you want to word it, when I wrestle him, I always found, or do an angle with him, I always found he was one of the best storytellers I'd ever been in the ring with, and that's comparing him to guys in other territories as well, that he had the ability to carry an angle and hold his own weight in being presented as a
This is
legitimate
going to come off really cheap on my behalf, but he wrestles 3 matches a year. He's fucking thinking that story up for 3-4. We did that angle at the Palladium. He had that fucking thing written on paper for fucking 3.5 weeks.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because you guys have such a strong history. I always found him to be a very strong performer. Is that something is that why you two had good chemistry? Or what brought the attraction to Shane Madison, TJ Bratt?
We both could tell you we don't know. That summer that we were working with each other, it was good to go to training in Windsor, and like he told you about that story. He took me down there, paid for my ticket. I said I'd pay him back. I was in a hard place in my life, and I came home after 3 days because I wasn't ready for it. I was 258 pounds, fat, out of shape.
Is that where you throw up hot dogs?
Threw up hot dogs, yeah, he gets a kick out of that, you know, like, we could go on for 2 hours about that. Like, he took me to Windsor, and then there was nowhere to stay, and he says, we're fucked. Like, it was kind of a whole different scenario, and I just came home because it was like nothing to work for at that point in time. But the reason I think we always have, in the city, it's so small, we literally lived across the highway from each other. We went to different high schools. I played a lot of sports growing up. He was the quiet, good-looking kid at the other school, you know, and then when wrestling defined Madison, as I called it, he came back from Windsor and he was now Shane Madison. Jeff Walsh was thrown out the door. We always had heat because of Windsor, and he always had the one up on me, and I was cool with that because there was nobody in Windsor. Like, there was a fucking referee training him, to be honest with you, and it just wasn't anything to be one up on me about.
So if you guys had such heat, like from the Windsor situation, you both have talked about it publicly on this podcast and my old podcasts I've done. When you guys worked together in 2000, 2001, was that put on the back burner for business, or did you guys kind of make men's at the time?
Oh yeah.
Because you guys are hard to keep track of. You guys have heat 1 year.
The best way to line it up to today, where are we? November 2015 is. I think I've calmed down a lot. I'd love to sit with Jeff and have beers, and we probably will one, but we're just 2 different people. You know what I mean? We are 2 different people, but the one thing that always kept it was wrestling. Like, he could call me at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday morning when he was working at his job, and I'd be at home, and we would talk for 2 fucking hours. Nobody would know that. 2.5 hours because we all love the business, and I wasn't in the gym, and I didn't look the way he did. He knew I knew what a wrestler should be, and we'd always talk about it. And we had hours and hours and hours of conversations, and we were able to go in the ring and not hurt each other, is the best way to put it. Take care of each other, be professional. He did one time, I think, hey Travis, is there a little scar in the back of the head there?
Yep.
That was a chair shot. Yeah, chair shot. And that was just him not telling me it was coming. So, you know, part of me once in a while wonders if he took a few shots at me, but it never was.
And actually, in a previous interview, he has said that chair shot was a receipt for you stiffing him on the plane ticket.
Well, I think that was the other chair shot in the final angle that we did when he threw the chair at me. So that was one thing, and I guess where a lot of the heat was, I never got a chance to put that chair over his head. And I was taking it regularly, and that's not the way the business works, is, you know, you got to take one.
Do you have any reflection from your time working with him, like back in that era? Was he, like, were you guys working together on the same page?
Basically, any show Madison was on, I was on.
So did you two work well together at the time? Like, you guys were buddies, putting the match, like, there was no hostility at that time?
None at all. We always, no. We actually look forward to our wrestling and our Thursdays, and when we got that angle hot with MVP, we actually were taking pride in separating ourselves.
Do you have any reflections or memories from that time?
A lot of politics on their behalf.
That's something actually...
They thought they were like fucking Hall, Nash, and Hogan, like right off the hop. They'd say, let's meet at Burger King, and let's jump ship, and let's do this, let's do that. And it was like, I wasn't even a year into the business. It was 11 months into the business, and all this shit. Oh, you gotta quit Bobby, you gotta do this, and it's like, what the fuck?
At Burger King.
At Burger King, yeah.
That could be
Almost a Whopper.
Yeah. Didn't shit my pants that night, but I did before.
Bobby on the podcast, Bobby was the promoter at the time of Top Rope Championship Wrestling, on the podcast last week. I asked him the question of, did MVP try sabotaging hot babyface TJ Bratt and politic themselves into that spot? And he said yes. Looking back on the angle, TJ Bratt should have went over on Shane Madison to continue to build and promote the brand. But Shea Madison, if I recall correctly, did beat you, and he never returned the favor to the babyface moving on. Is that something that was a bullet in the company and kind of put it in the direction?
You know what? If we're shooting 1,000% here, because I got nothing to hold, I think me and Jeff talking that day, it was a bit of me saying, as a green kid, not understanding that it was time. Do you think we should end this? Is this time to end it? All this, and then we came back about 6 weeks later, and he did let me pin them, but the crowd was like, yeah, and it was
on that night. Should you have beat him?
Yeah. Now that I know what wrestling's all about, I should have won, got the big 1, 2, fucking 3, and me and the valet should have been in the middle of the ring, and that angle should have got killed. Stopped there. And
looking back, why do you think they wanted that win that night? Was it because they legitimately thought it was better for business?
Like I said, I don't know. Like I've said all along, it was them too. Bobby says it's them. I remember talking with Jeff, and there's parts of him he even thought that I should go over, but it was the way. It was just a political night is the best way to, and it was only local wrestling. The best. I think that's why I took 3 big chair shots at the end and all these fuck finishes, and I didn't even know what fuck finishes really were at the time, Yeah. Oh yeah, like Dan came in and dropped me with his finisher. DiCaprio came in, stretched me out. Fucking Madison came in. I took 3 chair shots. It was like, holy fuck, am I Hulk Hogan times 8? But that's the way they were doing it. Yeah.
Madison has told the story once again. This is probably from one of the times you had heat. That you showed up at his house looking to fight him, but then when you called him and told him about it after, you said that you know his schedule and you know where he is at all times, but you chose to come to his house when you knew he wouldn't be home. Are you afraid of Shea Madison in a fight?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was wondering where he was going with that, and also
what would happen if
the story probably was I thought he was home and he ended up not being home. If that's the case,
so
why would I go to his house?
If you were showing up to his house to fight him, if he would have opened the door ready to fight, what would have happened that day?
At that point in time, in my ADHD heat of the fucking action, we would have had a fight. It's like a hockey player, spear in the balls. That's fucking.
So would you have taken him down in his own home and kicked the shit out of him?
You know what? Wouldn't have went into the home, but I might have said, "Come out onto the street." That would have, if I would have known what I would have done back then.
What was the heat about that day?
I don't have a clue, Dad. I don't have a clue. Hey? I don't have a fucking clue, man.
It seems as I'm going down my list.
You know what it was a lot, and it come back to where Playboy Will Damon, and then with Madison, I got to shoot. Madison did not leave Winnipeg too often. He did a trip down to WWE tryouts, paid for it to go down there with Mercury. Anybody, I think, at the time could have paid it to get a tryout. And then he didn't really, he might have went out to Regina once when he first got back from Windsor. And if he was what he was supposed to be, he would have been working like, all these other guys, yourself, Mantelo, Tyler Colton, yourself, you're all out on the road doing your thing. That's what always bugged me was, and that's where the heat came from, because I'd go out on the road, want to be the wrestler, and then I'd get the speech about how he makes $100,000 a year. He doesn't want, then get the fuck out of the business and let the guys that want to be a wrestler, not a part-time gig, be wrestlers. That's where a lot of the heat came up.
From your time working with him, do you believe if he would have applied himself that he could have got there?
Yes. He wouldn't have been a star, but he was working out hard. He was in the gym. He was in fucking tremendous shape. And he knew how to bump and stuff like that, and he would have been fine, but he wouldn't have been something that Vince would have put money behind, or Jarrett or someone, he would have been just there for a couple weeks, realized he's a body. And
is there anybody else from your time, like promoting and wrestling in the territory, that you think could have got there that didn't apply themselves properly?
From my era of guys that I worked with?
Yeah.
Kenny made it. I always knew Kenny was going to make it.
He was in your training class, was he not?
Yeah. Kenny. You know what? People put Ryan Wood over. I think Woody actually got to the only point where he could have. He was a smaller guy. He could work hard. He had a lot of athletic ability, but not in the wrestling business. I don't think he would. And I was firsthand when Bushwhacker Luke wanted Mercury to go to Puerto Rico. We're sitting there. He gets the fucking call and says, "I need a big cowboy down here. We want you to grow your hair out, grow a beard, and put tassels on your boots." And Mercury said, "No, I'm Zach Mercury." So, hey, I'll tell you right now, I wanted to get into ECW right near the tail end there, and if fucking Heyman would have called me and said, "Come on in here, boy," I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, I'm going to sit back at Winnipeg. I do my shit.
Is that legitimately true? He turned it down?
He turned it down, and Honky Tonk Man was with us, and now that I look back at like shoot interviews and you listen to people talk, I think it's about the same time when Ambrose went down there to Puerto Rico and had the blonde hair and the tights, and There was another guy, Casey Stevens or something like that from TNA went down at the same time. They were looking for blonde, dirty hair. I could be wrong. I think they wanted Mike Hughes even. He was
down there for a while.
He was, yeah. So they're looking for that big style of guy.
Yeah, he's Cowboy Mike Hughes.
Yeah, that's who Merck was basically, right? When you think about it size-wise, work-wise, Hughes is 100,000 times better. But I'm just saying, as in the look they were looking for.
You were always a very, very big supporter of Zach Mercury in the sense of like if I'm promoting a show, he looks like a wrestler. I can put him on a poster. They come to the show. They see him. Do you think he had enough depth behind him past that to have been a star in the business if he would have applied himself?
No, again, he would have been a big guy that came in and they would have tried to get something out of him, and that's it. The reason I always put him on my shows and that, because I look at casual fans, and when they see him walk out and he's 6'6", 250, they don't give a shit how good of an arm drag he can throw or how high his big boot is when he first comes out. Then it's up to him to impress the crowd, and when you're on a tour, it's, I hate to say it, they love him when he comes out. Hopefully he has that good match where when we come back, they want to see Zach.
Why do you think that so many guys from this area haven't applied themselves? Since you work both promoter as a wrestler, there's so many guys here with the bodies that you mentioned. Why did none of these guys apply themselves?
Scared. I think scared. I think it takes a lot to walk into, which I found in I had 125 matches my first year. And when you walk into a locker room and you don't know the other 12 guys, see, we're going in a circle here.
Yeah.
Madison knew Dan King. He knew Donnie DiCaprio. He knew Johnny Malibu. He knew Bobby J. He did not want to walk in there cold as ice and meet all these different people every weekend. And because that gimmick gets old. You can't do that to people that see that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know why. I know for myself, and people will say that, why didn't you do it? I remember the first year and a half, I wanted to be a pro wrestler. I was doing it at 125 matches a year. People said, get some gas in you and start fucking pumping up a little bit and all this kind of shit. And I had a kid, and I had it in the back of my head, and I couldn't go because I had a kid. And people say, no, you have a kid, you have to stay home. I had talks with many, many people like this. And when I saw someone that was in their mid-20s, if he wasn't on the road, I'd say, why not? There's nothing holding you back, and he's doing what you're supposed to do. Everyone goes on, and when they don't go on the road, it's an excuse then. Pure excuse. Like, I made excuses why I didn't make the NHL.
One more final note on Mercury, because he was somebody at a time that was, I guess he did a couple TVs like as an extra in like the early 2000s, mid 2000s. Here's a guy who's 6'6", 270, jacked up at the time. At a time they were signing up everybody that was a big dude. That was the mold at the time. Why do you think they didn't pick him up? What was the missing piece of the puzzle?
Think so? It was telling everybody what to do. And God bless Darren, as I call him. I've known him since I've been 7 years old. We were neighbors out at the lake, like this. And if the sky's blue that day, he's going to tell you it's black and gray, and he's going to convince you it's black and gray as long as it's blue. And you can argue, and that's where our arguments came from. And he's him, and he's a true lone wolf. I watched that Breaking Ground we were talking about earlier and stuff like that. He's Baron Corbin. He's completely Baron Corbin. Leave me alone. I hate you. I like you. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to go to a nightclub with fucking 80 people in it so they can all look at me because I'm tall. Like he always said to me, Jay, they don't look at you when we go in. They look at me. I'm tall. I said, they've been looking at you since you've been 3 years old because you're fucking tall.
Yeah.
Like,
and not just with him, but a lot of people have that attitude about having a look in wrestling because it is important 100%. You need to be marketable. But yes, you're going to draw attention upon your appearance when you first get there, but you need to have the substance to continue and get them back. Mm-hmm. Yes, like look at a guy like John Cutler. Love John to death, and that's and he does have talent. But they see a kid 6'4", 250, blue eyes, blonde hair.
Yeah.
He's going to get that opportunity over a guy that's 5'11", 210.
And everybody was saying that when John got signed.
So you need
what the hell? He can't. He's basically green in the ring that some nights. Everyone was saying that,
So having that, Merck being a big guy is great, but you can't rely on that in this day and age because people will see through it. In a business now that's so critical of in-ring work and
it's so different now. It's so athletic.
Like, you have to be able to go.
I watched that Apollo Crews work, and I don't know much about his past before he came there. He's a fucking machine. Oh yeah. Like he's jumping in the air this side, and his arms are out here, and his chest is out here, and he can talk. He looks professional. Like you'd want to put him in a board meeting if he was there, like he's got the whole package. You talk about, you had 125 matches in your first year. You're passionate about the business. Looking back, if you didn't have that child, this is all in retrospect, of course, would you have been able to make it there? don't think I would have made a WWE. I'm not what they would be looking for size-wise. I think, you know, you can only get so big. But I really do think in my heart that if someone would have said, you want to come to Puerto Rico for a year, we need a heel at once, get batteries chucked at him, I'm fucking going. And if he wants me, if Saskatchewan wants me every weekend, once a month, and I would have done it and kept going and gone down to the States and everything. But in the back of my head, I always knew I couldn't do it. WWE, no, I don't think I politically would have been good for that kind of situation. Jeff Wallace, perfect, you know what I mean? Just...
So before you know, finding out you're going to be a father, what was your aspirations?
Well, my boy at the time when I started wrestling was 5. So I never, like I said, in the back of my head, like everyone does it, it's a dream, right? You want to be that wrestler. And when I started doing it, and again, I'm going to come up as cocky as can be, and I told you that earlier, was when I was getting booked with Don Callis' IWM, A and all that kind of stuff 10 months in, I knew I was doing something right, is the way I looked at it. Yeah, like I knew, like if the promoters are calling me to get booked, and that sounded like some fucking veteran. Some guy from Transcona was calling me to ask me for a show. I was taking that as a compliment. Even a guy like Don Callis, a guy I watched on TV for so many years, and he's saying, "Can you come down and do a show?" It was great.
Like I said, we're going to kind of jump all over the place. I want to cover a lot of ground today. You've managed to, you know, really butt heads with a lot of guys you were once good friends with, you worked with, and then at some point it blows up. One of those guys being Vance Nevada. You were, you know, tag team partners with Vance. I believe he was the booker when you broke in with TRCW. You guys ended up being part of Explicit Content, which was a hot team in the territory for a while. And then somewhere along the way, it kind of blew up, and there's been this heat ever since. We kind of had a reunion of sorts in the Rumble last year, but prior to that, it was a pretty rough road for many years. So maybe give us a little bit of backstory on your relationship with Vance and the good times and the bad.
Yeah, Vance was the booker, and Vance was the type of guy that you had to kiss his ass. And I could see that from the outside as soon as I broke in. But I kept my mouth shut and let Vance basically tell me what to do, tell everybody what to do. And I was very, what's the word, impressionable at a young age.
You know what's going on.
Yeah, and I was 24. A lot of these guys, like when you broke in, holy fuck, like, you know, like you must have been like, what the hell is going on here? But when I was 24 and I see Vance playing all these political games and mind games with a lot of kids that you could see already had that going on in their life, and Vance was playing. He was that kid in a small town that got no respect, so he broke into a business and got to a certain level where, let's face it, if he went down to the States to try to do that, they would have just said, he was in Winnipeg, he took advantage of it, and he built a lot of wrestlers. So I kept my mouth shut for about, we were tag champs, and then he put himself over huge, if I'm not mistaken, with Jim the Anvil Neidhart on a whole tour. And then, remember that? And then he fucked off to the East Coast, and when he came back was after me and Madison packed the place without him. And that's when the heat really started. Because in Explicit Content, he grabbed onto me, because we'd go to bumpers, there'd be 50 people there, and I'm telling them all to fuck off, we're in a bar and getting heat and all that. Oh, I want to be his tag partner. Then there'd be a chick there, and we need her as a valet, and there'd be this, no, you can't get a blowjob from her, and all this fucking shit. It was just nonstop.
You couldn't get a blowjob?
He'd tell us nonstop we couldn't go near the girls. Like I know Johnny Malibu's wife, I thought she was a pretty cute looking woman before, and they weren't together. Pam, and they weren't together, and me and her were, shooting you touch her, you don't do that in the business, and all that's because he wanted to go after her, and it was just nonstop shit that I would have never put up with when I was 18, 19, 20 at the party. I was putting it up with it in the locker room.
So where did eventually it come to a head?
I think when he came back that summer, he wasn't really wanted. Yeah, he really wasn't wanted. His bullshit had grown stale. All these young talent. We had about 25 young guys in the locker room. He came back from out east there, and nobody really. And he moved, if I'm not mistaken, to Vancouver after that. Because everybody just, I don't know. He had that, and no one wants to be around you. I've had that feeling before, and he had it then.
Was there an actual situation that came to a head, or was it just kind of you guys went your own way, drifted?
Yeah, and then when he started, he probably had to have said a few things about me to set me off, and it just kept going from there. And I saw him, like, when I did IWM, I said, you know what, I only paid about how much did you pay for training?
For training?
Yeah.
$4,000.
Yeah, I paid $600. So after I started doing IWM and everything, I said, Vance, I'll fly you in as your plane ticket, I'll pay you $100 for your match. And I said, that's a nice little thank you for training me. And I said, $600 never cut it. So I bought a $400, so it was about $1,000 in the long run. And he didn't even say thank you after the show and left and didn't use the hotel room. And from then, that was in 05, I booked him and Rob Stardom that night because nobody else could book that fight match they wanted to have. And I booked him, and yeah, he never said bye to me or nothing. And from then, I just thought he was a piece of shit. Yeah, he's a bit, I'm glad he's out of the business for the new guys coming in, because if you actually read when he writes, you'd swear that like the Sierra brothers or whatever, they got their big break only because of Vance Nevada. And I got tired of seeing that, how he jumped on to Kenny, he jumped on to me, he jumped on to Kevin, he jumped on to Woody, he jumped on all the guys that had a little bit of more pizzazz than the rest of the guys, and then he'd just throw you to the side after.
So where do you guys stand now?
I don't talk to him. No, when he did that little incident a couple weeks ago or months ago there, I called Doug Lunny regarding the incident and all this kind of stuff, and I said that Vance Nevada's a real piece of shit.
There was a situation, I think it was, because I think CWE went into Cowboys, so there was some heat with you and me. Vance was public about the situation, kind of coming to my defense. And I remember
right when he was doing CNWA, correct?
Yeah, CNWA.
Yes, okay.
So I remember, to his credit, he was, kind of trying to defend me being a part of his organization at the time. And I remember you calling me saying if Vance Nevada showed up in Winnipeg, you were going to come down and kick the shit out of him at Cowboys. Do you recall what escalated that?
I think it was because he was saying that I shouldn't be running wrestling shows, or I was unprofessional and this is what's wrong with the business. He went a different way, like he took a real dig at me.
Okay.
And it didn't make sense, and he just wanted to really make up a story to shoot me down some more. And I think that's what I had to do.
Weren't you calling his work and stuff?
Oh, I called his work. Like, that's what I mean. I've got no barriers. If you want, I'm the nice, as they say, I'm the nicest guy in the world. But if you want to play, we're gonna play.
So what happened? You call? Why did you call his work? Who did you call?
Because I would call his work to talk to him. Oh, I wouldn't put any, I would not be a shit disturber and call a boss. I called to speak to him directly.
How did that conversation go?
You know what? There's been so many, Danny. I do, now that you say that up, the last time that I think it was wrestling related was the whole CNWA, and he was tarnishing my so-called hard work that I had put in. I feel I put a lot of hard work, and when someone rips on me about it, that's
so, like I mentioned, we did the spot in the Rumble last year. We did like an explicit content reunion with Alexis Vixen. Did you guys get a chance to kind of hash it out?
Yeah, we talked for about 10 minutes. I mean, that was a professional thing to do in the locker room, and there's no need for fights like that, and everybody's having a good time.
Sure.
But, I mean, he was still Vance. He wanted to take pictures of explicit content poses from 15 years ago, and
side by side.
yeah, we're just not the same kind of guys. And if I had to hang around with him longer than a half hour on a tour, it would drive me nuts.
I want to do some backtracking to an infamous situation that's been discussed many times through local wrestling podcasts. You were at a time, and we'll get to probably how your situation is now, very close with beautiful Bobby J. He gave you your start with Top Rope Championship Wrestling. You ended up being one of his top heels, one of his top baby faces. You touched on MVP wanting to jump ship. There came a time where they decided they were just going to start their own company, Premier Championship Wrestling. So they held the big meeting. They cherry-picked the talent they wanted to be a part of PCW. But the big kicker in the story, for those that hadn't heard, is they needed a ring. And they came up with a scheme to get it from beautiful Bobby J to try to run him out of business. So they were going to try to sneakily buy his own ring to then use it against him and run shows. And they used you as the pawn to kind of broker this deal with Bobby. You did so knowing that it was going to PCW, being Bobby's friend, and you can help Bobby load the ring into the trailer to send it off to PCW. Let's get the specifics.
I think
on
Paul
this
Heyman would have been very proud of that maneuver. I just wanted to say, at least I had the balls to get things done,
So what happened? I broke down the outline of it. Give us the meat and potatoes of the story.
The meat and potatoes of it was, you've gotten to know Bobby over the years, and behind the MVP political stuff that they were trying to, and I think the man in me was getting sick and tired of hearing all this bickering back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I think Bobby almost wanted to work with them, but there was nobody saying, let's all work together. They wanted Bobby gone. John Newman was running it at the time, God bless him, and they wanted nothing to do with to Bobby. And
not to cut you off, but why is that? Bobby's one of the nicest human beings in the business. Like, I've been running shows for almost 7 years, and Bobby, I've never had a problem with him. Like, we'll have a couple tiffs here and there, like about
If you agree with
about
Bobby,
direction and stuff like that, but he's never been a headache where it's like, I'm gonna fucking kill him, or don't want you near my show. Like, he's fairly easygoing. Was it different back then?
no, but I just find with Bobby, if you agree with him, he loves you. He'll buy you more drinks, and you got to just nod your head, and he'll come up to you and ask you, was that a good match, and did I get the heat, and you just kind of go with it. And I think the times that I've had heat with Bobby, I just get sick of it. I get sick of stuff quick. Yeah, and when I hear the same bullshit, yeah, like it's like when Madison used to come up, yeah, I feel my arm, Jay, I'm big. Well, no, you better be fucking big if you're in the gym 3 hours a day and fucking pulling up to the Shell station regularly. You know what I mean? Like you better be big. So it's all right to talk about the gas, you know. But as in, where were we? Sorry, we went off topic with Bobby. And,
so you're kind of sick of the bullshit going back and
yeah,
forth.
but anyways, I to this day don't understand why I did it, like fully, but it was just something I did and felt horrible about it after it happened, and that's why I went back. I had 3 matches with PCW and went back to Bobby. And
So kind of explain how it happened. Like, I kind of laid like the outline of it, but how did you get approached?
Bobby fell for a story that they were buying it for a kickboxing ring or something. There's a lot of kickboxing stuff going on around that time at Rendezvous.
But how did they approach you about doing it? How did PCW come to you and say, "This is what we need, Jay"? What was your reaction?
I think it was
how did you go about
it? It was Mike and Madison.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike and they just. I think I want to say the market and me took off saying that this fucking company was going to be huge. We might be like Stampede Wrestling from the early 80s, the way they were putting this over. This guy with all this money's coming in and blah, 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 blah. And I guess we just look at it as in the guy that I call myself a stooge for doing that.
So
yeah,
they approached you, we need to get this ring from Bobby. Were you the one that actually sold him on the idea of getting rid of it?
Yeah, I think we went out for a few Subways and a few beers, and I said, I think it's time you're going to make some money off this ring. You can rebuild a ring 6 weeks later, or you could build a ring with his dad in the garage, and it was a quick payday for him, and he took it, yeah. And like when I went back to him, we had many conversations, even when I was with PCW from January to like March, and he kept going, Jay, I would have did the same thing. And if I was your age, I would have done the same thing, thinking this is like mini WWE, and let's all agree, Bobby is a fucking mark when he wants to be, and if something like that was going down in the day and he was just broken with Candello and Marty Gold came in with 50 grand and said, I'm starting this new promotion, Bobby would have been all over it too. And that's why Bobby kind of forgave me for it and brought me right back and said, I would have done the same thing.
When did you tell him that you were kind of in on the whole deal? Was that something you figured out right away?
No, that's honestly, I don't remember because I think we just went into PCW, it started. I think it was like a month or two later that it came out of the... But Bobby only had about 6 wrestlers after that, so it was tough for him.
Was there a big heat, like personally?
No, he never...
Right at the time?
He never went... he never teed off on me about it. I have to give him credit for that. He never said, Jay, you're a fucking asshole, you're a prick. He says, do you want to come back top rope? I miss having you. And
is it something you regret looking back?
Oh, completely. Completely did it. That was the worst thing I ever did in wrestling business. Yep. And I always say that when the rope snapped on my head in Saskatoon, that was my karma strike. So I evened it up right there. Anything moving forward is even again.
Kevin, were you still performing at the time while this was all going down?
I was in CWF.
You were CWF. So maybe you can kind of, we never hear the CWF perspective. What was going on in your guys' locker room while this was all happening? TRCW is getting raided left, right, and center. PCW starting up. Ernie's, political at the best of time. Yeah. So, what was the environment like in your guys' locker room? All this
very different. There was a lot. There was the share of like my generation guys, but it was a smaller percentage in that locker room. You still had guys like all your Easy Riders and Spiders and all those guys were all there, and they were a lot more like. I don't want to fucking talk about that. Who fucking cares? Worry about our fucking show.
And then they Then they'd make a call to a guy if they wanted, and they'd all call.
Were you part of the merge of TRCW and CWF, or did you?
I was a part of that. Yeah, I was CWF Hardcore Champ at the time. As a matter of fact.
So give us some. I've actually, this is intriguing because I've never heard this insight from the CWF side of things. Right. How was the crew approached by Ernie? Like, hey, we're going to go and now work with these guys that we've been trying to fucking run out of business for the last 3 years.
It all started when K-Man Broda got, diagnosed with some illness of some goddamn kind. And I don't know what it was. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to him, but it was something. It was something like
I
that.
have to say, he was pissing himself on the way back from the ring last year, so
Yeah,
that's one of the
whatever.
greatest incidents I ever seen.
Something kidney related. Anyhow, so Ernie put on a benefit show saying like, saying, well, everyone's welcome. Anyone that wants to contribute and come to a match, the proceeds go to Broda. You're more than welcome to. So a few TRCW guys came over and did kind of, their own matches or matches with guys they're comfortable with and that kind of thing. Like nothing, and there was no big issue. Everybody saw some buddies and like, hey, how you doing, man? Right on. And somehow that led to, there was no issue with, like, Bobby was cool with it, Ernie was cool with it, and then so Bobby just kind of returned the favor and said, hey, if some of your guys want to do my shows, I don't got an issue with it, like.
See, but it wasn't always me fighting. I remember going with Bobby down to a show on Main Street there when somebody was running a promotion that came in and out. I don't know.
Ultimate Thunder.
Yeah, beautiful
John,
venue. Those guys. And Spider and Ernie came out and we went outside. And me and Spider sat there and shot the shit while Ernie cut a promo on Bobby. And they were gonna fight there. Nobody fought.
And then I guess a little bit
cut
after
promos.
that,
Cut promos right on the fucking street.
So pretty much the next show after that Broda show, where Ernie went down the run sheet. It was just the regular guys again, kind of thing. The CWF crew. Ernie went down the run sheet. He said, and by the way, TRCW's running, Chalmers this next Wednesday, and Bobby said if anybody wants to spot on the show, come on down and see him. And you got to spot on the show, and no one really questioned it, and some of us went.
Oh, okay, I'm a little ahead of it. That's right when I broke in.
Yeah,
that was right when I broke in. Yeah,
and no one really, and like I did a couple of them, and it was just kind of like, okay, whatever, There was no. At
one time, you didn't know who was running bumpers.
Yeah.
One Monday night it was Ernie, next night it was Bobby.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wayne went in there and did a shift.
yeah, and there was no. I don't know how it fell back apart again after that, but yeah, like initially it just kind of came to be because of that Broda benefit show.
That's how you started working with Ernie, right? Because you kind of came back from PCW to TRCW while they were working together, right? If I'm not mistaken.
The first time I worked with Ernie was PCW. No, TRCW.
Yeah.
It was a joint show.
Yeah.
And then we did a big show out of the Rendezvous with a bunch of TRCW guys, and we kind of like mixed matched them all. And I worked Woody on that one. I for the life of me couldn't tell you one more person that was even on that show, but
that's a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Yeah, but like a bunch of guys, like a bunch of TRCW guys all did the show, and again, there was no issue. There was no one was politicking, to my knowledge, anyway. And not that I had the in the office, I heard everything that went on or anything, but there was no evident politicking. Everyone was just kind of cool with whatever. Yeah, let's do this, and from my perspective, it looked like everyone was getting along and things were going fine, and guys just wanted to wrestle, and it was kind of PCW was doing their thing. I think they were doing the lid at the time, or they just started the lid at the time, or played.
They took over from Top Rope.
Yeah, they took it over. Yeah, so they were doing their own thing, and nobody even. And at that time, like it wasn't that we were told not to discuss it. Just those guys were older, and nobody really kind of like you had the odd guy like Alex Rain that would kind of bring something up like, hey, did you hear about blah blah blah? And everyone's like, I don't know, I don't even have the fucking internet, man. I don't go on that shit. Like it's these old guys, right? Like they don't fucking, they can't be fucking bothered with it, right?
So eventually you decided to make the jump from being an active performer to being a promoter as well. What inspired you to be like, all right, I'm going to take a run at this myself and run some shows, and where are the promoters at?
Because I did a lot of, what do you call it, assistant promoting, going around with Bobby, doing flyers, posts, and I loved it. I like building businesses from the ground up, and when I did that, it was, I hate to say it, I gave Honky a call, and when I was able to get him, it was, after that, it was just like, let's fucking go. And being around him, he was starting to talk about the business the way I wanted to talk about the business. I don't know if you, like the way we were earlier, there's a way to talk about the business, and then when you talk to someone else and all they want to talk about is 3 hours of one angle on Raw, right? It's like, no, let's talk about Jim Cornette, let's talk about real angle stuff, and that's, train of thought, gone again. You there? Are you there yet, Travis? Is your head shot?
So what are some of your memories? We still have a lot to cover before we wrap it up. What are some of your memories from promoting that time, the positives and negatives? What kind of different insight did it give you going from a performer to a promoter? Because that's something I've said on this program and I said for years. as a wrestler, you get a completely different education and appreciation for the business when you actually have to go and put your own money and your own work to make a show
If I
happen.
could go back, I wouldn't have paid some of the guys so well. I had a soft spot for getting paid shitty and promoters trying to get away with handing guys $20, $25 and stuff like that. I hated that. Unless you're like a first year guy, I thought 20, 25 year old. But when you're wrestling for a long time, you got to make 40, 50 bucks when you're going out $60 just for even showing up. You know what I mean?
I never got to ask you that about this. There was one time at one of your shows, me, you, and Dick Blood went outside to smoke some weed. We were chatting, and Merc had done something that pissed you off, but you were trying to be professional about it, and you're like, at the time, you're like, the guy's my friend and everything, but he's the exact opposite of down to earth, and he fucking frustrates me. You know, like, it was something like that, where it's kind of like, oh yeah, I can see that, dude. Do you remember what that was about? Like, what he had fucking done?
Oh no, Merc
I'd
I'd say it was a headache for
yeah.
like, oh,
yeah,
it was always something.
I could tell, like, you were like trying to be like, let's get outside right fucking now.
Yeah.
Like, we're not waiting. You didn't want to fucking get hot. And you were being professional. You didn't want to air your fucking laundry to us, which is cool. But you're just like,
with the promoting part, I noticed you could find the guys that were the good guys from because you're dealing with them on a payoff, right?
Right.
You're
Yeah.
talking about them or seeing what they're doing next, and the promoting part, as you find, what I liked was finding out that all these upper talents you're bringing in are just normal people.
Oh yeah.
And it's what I liked. And where a lot of the people, like I remember when Jim Neidhart came in for Bobby in 01, it was like, I thought fucking Gretzky, Curry, and Semenko were all right in front of him, you know what I mean? Like it was, he was so happy to be around him, where when I brought in these WWE names, that to me they were just normal Joes, and I was going to find out what they were about, and let's hang out, and or I'm going to drop you off the hotel room as soon as I'm done with you because you're a prick, or whatever, you know? And no, I had a lot of fun at promoting, and I went and opened the pizza shop after, and started promoting again, and I like that kind of stuff.
Who would be 3 names that would surprise us that were not name talent, but locally that you worked with that were exceptionally great to work with, that were very beneficial to the product in terms of helping you get it off the ground, building the brand?
Oh, when I started promoting?
Yeah.
I gotta say Merc was a headache, but he was there, like, he was full of piss and vinegar, bringing people to the show, making sure they came out. Stardom was really big for me because we were all right around the same time period, growing up together, like in the business together, and wanted to help out each other, and we hung out outside the business. And my wife, I have to say that she wasn't in the wrestling business, but my wife, like, she helped me promote a lot. You go to work and she'd get 15 friends to come to a show that hated wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, and then they would come and they would see Merc and they'd say, let's go see that guy again, or they'd see Jeff or someone, or you when you're younger, all these pretty boys, and they'd come back out to the shows. And I made it different. That was the one thing. I was the first guy to do ringside tables and sell ringside tables to the shows.
Right.
Yeah, it was good because then they were coming, they were having dinner, they were getting drinks, they were getting whatever, bottle of wine at the table, and it was like a boxing show for them for those 4 tables.
Yeah, Wayne Ring announcing on some of your shows. Was he ever a headache, or was he just kind of?
You know what, Wayne and I fought so much on the phone, and Wayne's one of those guys that I know down deep holds a grudge with me because I just call him on this shit. Like when he'd argue with me, I'd say, yeah, okay, Wayne, that's why you jerk off at your age, and you don't have a girlfriend, and this and that. There's always a reason behind someone because you have been a dick in the past.
Exactly. Yeah.
You've been a dick in the past, and there's a reason that you can't do certain things.
Yeah.
And when he's completely sober and he's just a guy working for the city of Winnipeg, he's not a bad guy to shoot the shit with. But
if you were to start running shows tomorrow, based on previous experience, who are 3 people that would absolutely not get a call from you to ever be a part of your show again?
Ooh. Any names that are
preferably locally.
Well, Vance Nevada guaranteed would never be near my product. I can guarantee you that. Playboy Will Damon would be nowhere near my product. And Adam Knight would be as far as away from my fucking product.
That's a name that surprises me. Why is Adam Knight on that list?
I promoted some shows in Moosomin and Swan River a couple years ago with PCW, and he just showed me that he's the little kid that he once was down deep in his stomach. He's talks behind people's backs. And it was like a movie. I went into the next room and he trashed me and I could hear him, and he told a couple of young guys like Jackie Lee and Leo Lennon not to listen to me. And I mean, I'm not God, but I was the promoter of the show, and I'd been wrestling for 10, 12 years, so I kind of could say 1 or 2 things right, and then Knight he's more experienced than me, and Knight can do some talking about it, but no, he just said, don't listen to that guy, and then when we go to the bar after, he'd say, I'll stay away from them, and just a real hard guy to work with, and when you're out on the road, you're supposed to be a team at that point, and I never felt he was a real team player.
All right, on that note, we're going to take our last break, and then we're going to come back, and we got a couple more topics and names to throw at you before we take this thing home. So let's get you some water, let's take a piss, and let's come back and...
Taking a piss is key.
Taking a piss is key. Come back full of more piss.
There we go.
And vinegar. We'll be back. And we are back, and in typical TJ Bratt fashion, we've gone over the time on our promo. We're running out of camera space, and I've got a lot I still want to talk about, so we're going to have to kind of do this
What's
like
5 to 7?
So we're going to have to kind of do like a fire round here. I'm going to shoot some stuff at you, and we'll try to get it through quickly. Through IWM, through other promotions, you've worked with a lot of names. 3 names that jump out at me of you having situations with. Greg Valentine.
Yeah.
What happened?
No showed me. Only guy that no showed me, and was a real chicken shit bitch about it, to tell you that. Long story short of that was I sat at that airplane. You've picked up talent, and sometimes it's a headache, but I sat there till 2:30 in the morning. He didn't come out. I asked that security guard, "You want to double check there?" And he said, "Guy, he ain't coming out." So I went home and proceeded to make one of them late phone calls like I did to yourself. I think yours was at 1:30, but Greg got my call about 4 a.m. and his wife answered and said that Greg was gone to the store and all this bullshit, and I managed to keep his wife on the phone for about 40 minutes, just ripping her a new asshole until Greg actually got on the phone. And, so it was, he had double booked himself and didn't show up and didn't come up for me, and it was the only one that ever happened.
Did you actually talk to Greg on the phone?
Yes, after about, like I said, about 40 minutes talking to the wife, then I guess, like any man, if you're going to trounce someone's wife, you're going to only put up with so much shit. I must have called her a bitch or a slut one too many times, and he grabbed the phone. So,
what was his response?
He basically threw the heat at Honky at the time, because me and Honky weren't talking, and he said that I shouldn't come up there because you're not going to get paid and all that. And I said, well, Greg, you've been in the business quite a while. I think at that point Honky got about 15 or 20 paydays off me and got paid for every payday. So, I mean, I basically threw it, and I know how these old timers work when they're kind of grasping for bookings and stuff. It says, Greg, I had used Honky all around the circuit. It says, you were next. You were going to have 15 or 20 bookings, and you fucked it. And he said, oh, that goddamn Honky, and bullshit. So I had to throw it in his face that I probably cost him a lot of money by not coming to Winnipeg.
Honky Tonk Man is somebody you've brought into this territory more than on a few occasions. What's your history with Honky Tonk Man, and where are you guys today?
We don't talk anymore. I actually tried to reach out to him, I'd say about 2 months ago, because some promoters out west were trying to see why he was asking so much money and if there was anything I could do to help out. And he didn't answer my phone call, so I guess it's we are done for good. But I was actually just doing it, and it's wrestling. I wanted to make a payday for setting them up and make the middleman payday, as they call it.
You guys were commonly, attached at the hip for a long period of time. What was the fallout? What's the heat with you and Honky?
The fallout that happened had, believe it or not, had nothing to do with wrestling. We were touring there those last couple of years together. I was taking them to all the shows and different promoters and stuff. And we were going to start up a small food company. Well, I was a little mini pretzel company, and we were going to go on Dragon's Den together, and I had everything organized. And then Honky got called up to Monday Night Raw in March 2013 for his little segment with a 3-man band, I believe it was at the time. And right then and there, his attitude just changed. He basically went into, as I call it, old alcoholic thinking, and he thought Vince McMahon was going to call him to come up and be commentary and do all these guest appearances and everything. And in the long run, he had told me that it was a $10,000 deal, and he was happy being back. So when he came in April for me for the last tour, he basically pulled a deal on me at, I want to say about 12:30, 1 o'clock in a hotel room on Brandon, and looked at me with a very evil look on his face where I wanted to slap it fucking right off his head, off his shoulders, I mean. He just says, I'm not coming up to this Winnipeg for these shitty ass paydays anymore. Vince McMahon signed me. Fuck you, fuck Winnipeg, fuck Western Canada. And from
this
there,
stuff, you gave him years of work.
Years and years of work, and we actually had a real good personal relationship. Our wives got along. The pretzel recipe was given to me from his wife, and I wanted to take it to the next level because a lot of people have had them and just love them. A great thing to have beers with, and it just went to the next level. And in the hotel room. Again, I don't give a shit who it was, and when he pulled the deal on me, it was quite entertaining at 1:30 in the morning when I decided I was going to cut the promo on him for shoot on me and thinking he was going back to Vince McMahon.
What were some of the high spots in the promo?
Well, I was just trying to explain to him that, look at, like, I'm a business guy, and I had a business plan there stating that he would have made like 10 grand in the first 6 months of business if we did this right and got hooked up with the right person in Dragon's Den. And a lot of people are saying, you wouldn't have got a deal. Hey, I wasn't going in there to get a deal necessarily from one of the Dragons, or I was trying to get exposure. Honky might have got another 20 bookings out of it. People would have said, oh, he's alive, let's bring him to festivals. Then I want maybe some guy with a lot of money in Western Canada would have financed the pretzel deal. It was exposure. And when he pulled on at me, I'd already deckled the van. Family van was out in pretzels. We had a catchphrase, shake it, rip it, munch it. Everybody likes a good munch. So we had everything going good, and he decided just to pull on me. And I took it very, very, very personally because I had invested money, minor amount of money, but I registered business names, deckled out a vehicle, got in touch with Government Canada to do it properly, and he hit me, and as they say, he kicked me in the nuts, and it hurt, and I cut a promo on him for about an hour and a half on it's time to grow up, you're a piece of shit. And just to show you a man, Kev, we were drinking beer the whole time I was cutting the promo on him, and I actually went into the fridge a couple times and opened up a beer and put it in front of him. So I knew the conversation could continue, and he couldn't say, "Oh, I'm ready to go to bed." I would not let him go to bed until I was done talking. And the funny thing was, we had the tour together for 4 days after that, and it was rough. Yeah.
Somebody else I've seen you cut a promo on live, as I was there 2 feet away from it happening, was Raven. This is something people probably don't know about. Raven and me wrestled at 4Play Sports Bar. You were the manager for Raven for the night, as you had brought him in to take care of me. But in theory, I guess in reality, it ended up you two taking care of each other in the locker room with quite the verbal shoot. But break that down for the fans that haven't heard this story.
I like that story because that's when political shit that even people don't know about can happen. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Danny, because you did call the finish on that match. And at the end of the match, up in the locker room, I said, don't you think that Raven should give me a kick and give me the even flow and get some heat back, because you were beating them that night. Why don't you get some heat back? And you had said, no, we don't need that. We're not doing typical stuff, and let's just get as I believe, let me get the win, and you and Raven go upstairs pissed off, or something to that effect.
If I recall correctly, is I didn't want Raven hitting a DDT on you because I had been trying to get my hands on you for 10 months and I hadn't had a chance to yet. So if Raven bumped you, it would take away from it being special when I finally got my hands on you.
Yeah. So after all that developed, when we were in the ring, Raven and I was cutting a promo on Raven for, fucking business up, the storyline, etc. And he called the DDT spot to do to me. He goes, let me give you the DDT. So he gives me the kick and gives me the DDT, and we get back upstairs, and he throws the heat on me, saying I called the finish, is where it came from, saying I wanted him to kick me, and it wasn't the case. And he sat there with a blind, like a deer in headlights, going, no, he told me to do it. He was working me and playing me like some fucking green kid, and I had been in the business for 10 years, so I wasn't gonna take it. I was listening to him, and once I knew that he was trying to set me up, I saw Danny kind of sitting off in the back there, and there was a little grin, I think, once we started to go at it. And we went at it and proceeded, we didn't hit each other. I think we just told each other to bugger off a few times, and that was about it. And he brought up how AWA wrestling was shitty, and he said how he liked to watch the NWA, and I said, fuck man, the Raging Bull Fernandez wasn't bad, and chuck that in there to have a conversation. But no, he's.
I think I recall you referring to him as Johnny Polo throughout most of your promo on him too.
Well,
Johnny Flamingo.
I can't. That would probably be a Johnny Flamingo because I wasn't. I didn't
We're just trying to dig at him.
Yeah, but he's a guy that I definitely. You know what? I'm not a prejudiced man. I will say this, but I did find out about Jewish people in the business as I was in the wrestling business, and there's a few of them that I was brought up in a home that
this is where that discretion comes up.
Whether black, white, Portuguese, Polish, whatever your person, right? Yeah. And I just found I don't get my lunches back from Jewish people. They don't always have good conversations with me, and they always seem to get what they want. And I never understood that till my mid-30s, and now I do. So.
All right, we're gonna do some more fight around here to take it home. Who was the shittiest guy you've ever been in the ring with, or the worst match you've ever had?
Worst match, believe it or not, was with JP Chaos. And we were
I believe it.
We were in a bar at the Cavalier. Is it called the Cavalier?
I love Chaos. I love Chaos.
Yeah, oh, he's a great guy.
I love
But
Chaos.
he's one of those, there's that saying, and we actually didn't use that saying until the end of this. He's a great guy. Good, go play fucking darts at the bar. Don't get the rest of it. I used to hate to say that. You come back and you'd be yelling at a guy for not doing, well, he's such a nice guy, you can't do that to him. No, we're trying to put a fucking show on here. And Chaos decided, I chopped him twice. He smiled at me and just sat there, didn't sell it, and it turned into over the top rope, and I beat the shit out of him for 10 minutes. And
So that was the worst match you ever had, or the worst
yeah.
guy you've been in the ring with? Or
no,
both?
what worst match? Guys, sometimes I've been in with, you had asked the worst guy.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, man, there's... I'm trying to think, there was it's gonna click in after, I can vision the guy and not being able to do anything, and it'll pop in.
Where was it? You know?
No, in Winnipeg, I'll remember it when it pops in.
You
I can vision the guy.
you consider yourself, you know, a tough guy. You talk about your hockey fights over the years. In Winnipeg wrestling, is there anybody that came your way looking to fight, you're going the other way? Is there somebody that TJ Bratt would back down from in a shoot fight?
No, and that's truth. Maybe in other provinces, not here.
Not here?
Not here. That's just when I got into locker rooms with a lot of these guys, I just didn't. I never saw
The Spiders, the Donnie DiCaprios, you'd throw down and be ready to go?
DiCaprio, I'd fucking throw in a heartbeat. Yeah. A guy like Spider, yeah, I'd go him, but see, there's history. Like, I broke in when I was 24, and from 20 to 23, Spider used to walk around the bars and run the bars. So, you know, he's just a nice guy, and if you piss him off, he'll fight you. And you never saw Spider walk in the locker room and start picking fights. He was actually very, very professional.
He is, yeah.
Loved the wrestling business. And no, locally there isn't. And people say, oh, you know, a guy like the Axe could, yeah, he'll knock you. But it takes some, if you're not scared, funny things can happen. I learned that in hockey. You're going to fight someone, something can happen. That doesn't make me a tough guy. That's one thing.
There's some name association to take it home here. If you boys have any names you want to throw in, feel free. We haven't really talked about your time in PCW, so I'm going to throw the name Andrew Shellcross at you.
Now, you know, I'm going to have to break this down like we're in English class.
Oh, here we go.
Is that one word, or can I
Tell a story, yeah. Tell a story.
You want a story?
Telling a story.
Andrew Shellcross, a great guy to have a beer and watch the Jet game with. Really, really wish he would have left the wrestling business probably 5-6 years ago. When they were running Dillon's there, they had Kevin Owens and that Generico Kenny was working regularly. They were trying to put on something once in a while still. But since then, it's just, I went over there in 2012 and tried to promote, and honestly, all he kept saying was, yes, do it, don't matter to me. It was my money, he didn't care. So he was just, yep, do it. He should be out of the business, enjoy the time that he had, and not promote, is the way I look at it.
What's your personal relationship with him now?
Now, it seems to be fine. I still think he believes the gimmick a little too much. I do think he thinks I'm a hothead because I've had incidents where I went after him in the crowd at a wrestling show in 04, but for a good reason. I mean, we were at a show. What would you do, Travis? Okay, we're the CWE and I'm IWM, let's say at the time, and I'm putting on a show and we have a good crowd, and I come to your venue with 4 other guys and I heckle from the crowd to you, and I'm breaking down every match, and I'm calling this guy this, and I'm bringing a lot of shooting stuff into the stuff. Do you just take it, or do you get up there and let them know you're not coming back to the next show and trying this again? Because they never did come back.
No, I would exactly do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was with them?
Brian Wood, Shane Madison, Andrew Shellcross, and Mike Davidson. Yep, and they're all just, you know.
Yeah.
I would probably, just so that things didn't escalate, I would probably find the toughest guys in our locker room and say, all right, us 4 are going to talk to these guys and tell them to either shut the...
Well, me and Stardom, I'll never forget that, and that's where I love Rob Stardom. He's only about 5'8", that little son of a bitch. But I said to him, I looked right at him, I said, we're going to shoot Stardom. He says, let's fucking go. And we were fine. So when we left and everything, Shellcross was there, and somebody... I think I spit on Shellcross or I spit on something there, and oh yeah, he got fucking out of hand. But no, as a guy, he's good. He's a good guy.
Mike Davidson.
Snake in that grass, man. He's one guy I just never could trust. It's one thing. Again, a guy that he was a Brandon Wheat Kings reporter when he broke out of high school. He was a good sports reporter, all that kind of shit. Really good at what he does. But he has his little playground there, and he has fun with it when he's in charge. And he's always been in charge. I remember my heat with when I was in a big babyface run, he tried to kill it by telling like a bunch of shit to people in the venue about me that was not true and all this kind of crap. And his girlfriend wanted to bang me, and so as soon as that found out, I was getting buried, and a lot of political shit with him.
Rob Stardom.
Good guy. Good guy. He another guy who doesn't take much shit, but he's I love Rob, but sometimes he talks a little like he's done more than he has. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. This is a good way to, if I want a guy to get trained on the basics of pro wrestling, to come in and do the first 40 hours, as we used to call it, Rob's a good guy to do it. He's very hands-on, likes to approach whether you can get it or not. He wants you to get it. He wants to make you, but sometimes he's got kind of cocky the way he talks. And
Moses Luke.
well, I still see Moses once a week on Fridays when we bowl. We're good friends outside of the business, but again, he's another one. Till now, he just started traveling a little bit, but never did no traveling for 12 years. Never understood it, and kind of always had an excuse about it. Yeah, good big guy. I had my first ever match with him, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
babyface TJ Bratt came out and like he was jumping Jimmy Brunzell. Man.
Did you throw a drop kick like him too?
Absolutely not.
Marty Gold.
You're really setting me up for the landing way here. You know what? Marty's Marty Gold. If we had Marty Gold sitting here right now, you think I can talk? That guy would be talking for 6 or 8 hours about wrestling. He still does posts about wrestling. But again, let's read between the lines. He owes me a lunch, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, he's a good guy, but I've never got a lunch back from him. And he's a good funny story about him. I was running in Brandon in 2006. He came down with me to ring announce, and every news reporter and everything that came around to him, Marty snapped him and started talking about his Osborne Festival show from fucking 15 years ago or whatever. So it's he's got a routine and he likes it. He's a good extra on a show to help out. Is a best way to put it.
Any names you're interested in?
Robbie Royce.
Oh,
Yes. That was
got along with Robbie Royce forever until that incident at Cowboys where we got into an altercation and it got physical, and I
see a reoccurring trend here.
I will tell you the truth. Why that happened? It was a 6-man tag, and I'll never forget him saying this. He was mad he didn't get his spots in, and I lost a lot of respect for Royce at that point because the main attraction that night was Honky Tonk Man and his guitar, and it had nothing to do with Team Impact and their 16 flippy flop fucking moves that they wanted to do that night. And when we got upstairs, it got physical, and he slapped me across. First guy in the business to put his hands on me, and it was a slap across the face. And I have a locker room that saw the entire thing. I don't know if you were in there at the time.
I saw
you were down the stairs.
I saw the tail end of it. Like, I called up, like, hey, there's a shit upstairs.
And I
didn't know he slapped you.
Yeah, he slapped me
as
hard. My nose is still bugs me to this day. I tell him when I do see him. And he slapped me, and I looked right at him, and I said, "You're a fucking idiot." And from there, Merck and ATM went at it, and we had a little arm brawl up in the dressing room there at Cowboys. Yeah.
So how did it break down from there?
We had a physical altercation. He came after me, and I will say this on record that I had Royce in a headlock, and he said, "Enough's enough." And he portrays that Pitbull character a little too much, in my opinion. But so I don't seem like I'm being negative on anybody. Probably one of the best talents to come out of Winnipeg in 15, 20 years. And another guy, if he maybe took it to the next level, body-wise, shape-wise. I always said if he was in the shape he was 2 years ago with the look like that, when he was working with Carino and stuff, he might have made a break in the business. Yeah.
Oh, Angus.
He's the one that named me the Canadian Loose Cannon because, again, we're sitting at a King Kong Bundy show in Stonewall, and there's 40 people out there, and he's sitting in the middle of the locker room for a half hour with King Kong Bundy and a few other guys, and he's saying, "We're gonna wait this one out. We're gonna see if we're gonna get some more people in."
Yeah.
Well, I fucking teed off on him too. Like, we're not gonna, and I won so much respect from King Kong. He goes, "Nobody does this on the circuit. Nobody speaks up like you." It's because we're not gonna wait for 3 more people to walk in Stonewall in the middle of a Sunday afternoon. Like, let's get the show going. But no, he's clueless about wrestling. He tried to run it like it was a child and family services business or something to that, and wanted to bring business plans into it. And me being a business guy, business plans don't work in pro wrestling.
No.
It's just paperwork and ink you're wasting.
Well, I'm going to give you an open forum to take it home here. Is there anybody you want to discuss or any topics you want to discuss to kind of wrap it up? Anything you want to get off your chest that you haven't been in the public spotlight in a few years?
I just want to say that I think, and I've had this talk with you in deep, that a lot of people tend to believe that I'm an asshole and a hothead that maybe you couldn't take to your mom's wedding. That TJ Bratt 2 hours in might cause a big altercation. Farthest thing from it, it's just when you
Clearly by the stories you told.
Well, the story. If you, I got to defend every story. Even when I called you, Danny, it was personal, family money that I was dealing with, and when I was just a wrestler, I didn't argue with anybody. To be honest with you, it was when I got into the promoting and the wrestling end of it. And anybody who does think I'm a hothead like that's just there's a lot of video game playing guys in this wrestling league, and I'm a little too old now for that, and I don't think I mesh with a lot of them. So, but no, I love wrestling, and I'm going to talk to him that I might want to manage one day again, and if that works out, I'll be back. But this guy's getting all the fucking heat, so I guess I won't be back for a little bit.
There's plenty to go around. It's all good.
That's right. So no, I miss wrestling and love wrestling and love seeing you guys doing it, and I'm jealous of a lot of guys that get to do it now. Yeah, and are doing it right, because you guys don't know it yet, and I'm not trying to talk like an old man, but when I'm turning 40 next year, and you say, why didn't I just work out a little harder, or why didn't I put a little more time in the gym so I didn't have to hear speeches from guys that were in the gym, or because they were right, you know what I mean? You're trying to look the part, you got to do your part. Now I'm trying to put over that I'm 220 and I'll kick your ass. That's not the point, you know what I mean? And it's wrestling, the wrestling business. I'm a big fan of Dean Ambrose, and I watch him work, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe if I would have listened to a few people, I didn't have a kid, maybe I could do that. He ain't doing nothing too special out there. Kevin Owens, he ain't doing anything too special out there. He looks like AJ Sanchez. Like when I watch him, I see Sanchez, and believe it or not, Sanchez probably in better shape. You know, just little things like that I see in the wrestling business. That the way I look at it, and with you guys working hard at it still, I think wrestling gives everybody a break if you want it. Do you agree in that?
100%.
Like in hockey,
it gives what you put in.
Yeah, in hockey too. I gave up hockey when I was 18 years old because I couldn't make Saskatchewan, New York, in Junior A. I thought that's it. And then you look back at the history of all these guys that are NHL third line grinders and diggers, and they didn't even make junior hockey, and they made the East Coast League when they're 24. So just never give up and keep doing it. Somebody's gonna get a break, right?
That's it.
And I gotta say, me as a fan, and everybody's a mark, right? When I hate that term when they call you a mark. No, we were all marks. We were watching it.
Still are.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good word.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I watch a local guy like Kenny Omega on the big scene in Japan now, I like that. I see that and I say, hey, I was able to work fucking 20 matches with him and actually work matches with him and get heat and work angles with him, and then I see him do this stuff there. It's like, it's nice to see guys get breaks. It's great to see guys get breaks.
Well, thanks very much for coming on the program. I think we'll have to have you again sometime. So I'm sure this program's going to have a lot of people with feedback and comments of their own. So you're going to have to do a whole other episode just rebutting people's clarification of stories.
Well, you know I'll be there to defend myself. So there's nothing wrong with that.
That's it for this week. We'll be back next week, and who knows?
And you know what? I didn't even touch on Colt Cabana.
I didn't know there was.
Yeah.
Colt Cabana.
Yeah, I didn't even touch Colt Cabana.
Oh, here.
Okay.
We're not done yet.
We're not done yet.
I didn't even know you were for.
When sometimes people say, that TJ's a little different, he's got too much time on his hands, sometimes I do. And when I see stupid quotes, even on the dirt sheets and stuff like that, then CM Punk I'm not a fan of after he's left wrestling, just because he's buried a lot of the wrestling that made him popular. And I sent Colt Cabana an email and decided to tell him that him and CM Punk are a bunch of cocksuckers. I don't know what got into me, but all I have to say is I've got nothing to lose out of it anymore. I'm out of the business. I don't have to kiss his ass. I bit my tongue so many times in the business.
Have you even met Colt?
No.
So what inspired this?
He might owe me a lunch after I'm done talking with him. You know what I'm getting at? I just send budge a little bit with those Colt wannabes,
We gotta take it home, but I need to hear this. So
I will
tell me
do
the
this.
story.
We can
Tell
have
me the
fun.
story.
He did fire back an email to me, and I'll tell you straight to your face, so you know I'm 100% truth shooting. He said, "Young man, you need a lot of psychological help." And that is all he said to me. That is all he said to me. And left it. Now I know where I've matured was. He would have got a response off me, and I just left it. It was 1 for 1 at that point.
What did you say to him?
I just said I didn't like CM Punk's attitude on the business because I'm very against when, I think what it had come out of was a comment about $5,000 on a European tour, that's all Punk had got paid.
And I said he was a mark for working for $5,000 for 3 or 4 shots and you're the heavyweight champion. And then I think I fired something cool just saying he's the one that took the $5,000, quit bitching. So it was something in the dirt sheets that Punk had said, $5,000, I got paid for a 4-day tour in Europe or something like that. And we come from sitting with Honky Tonk Man saying, oh yeah, Hogan used to make, 30,000 in one night and all this. How much of that is true? But
Right.
yeah, we do have to get back because Honky Tonk Man and I, we could talk for a half hour.
Well, we'll have
There's a lot more about that because there's a lot of business with him, and you notice you're on the circuit every weekend. Not too many Honky Tonk Man bookings going on nowadays.
It's been a while. It's been a couple of years since I've seen him.
That's right. A better chance of Mike Enos and Wayne Bloom getting a booking.
I've actually been trying to get
Beverly
Wayne Bloom
Brothers.
back into the business because he's in Minnesota. I've been trying to convince one of the promoters to let him be my tag team partner.
Beverly Brother reunion.
That would be great. I prefer the Destruction Crew.
I can attest to this. I have witnessed him talk to several people about trying to make this happen.
I want Wayne Bloom to be my tag team partner. I'm on a mission.
That is great. The next one will be locally. We'll try to get the Equalizer Don McCullough on our shows. Alberta boy.
All right, that will take it home. We will be back with TJ Bratt, and we will be back with another guest next week, so stay tuned to our social media as we will be making announcements.